is it? When did Arsenal last concede 5 in a game? I mean,
I understand his fear. I understand his fear, because if Arsenal played like they did at the weekend and City played like they did second half Chelsea, there could be a, Liverpool just went there and got done 3, didn't they?
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good morning, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Michael Carrick's told us he's baffled about Lisandro Martinez's sending off.
Come on, that's a red card then. The game's gone.
Martinez faces a 3-game ban for tugging on Calvert-Lewin's man bun. Paul Tierney was called to the screen, and after the game, Bruno Fernandes evoked the spirit of Jose Mourinho.
I'm not talking about the referee. If I talk about the referee, I'm going to get in very, very big trouble.
So what do the boys on breakfast think?
It saddens me a little bit, Jeff, to see good, natural, physical contests been taken out the game.
But pulling hair is not a natural physical contest.
Man United go to Chelsea in the Premier League live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. Now, Jack Wilshere says if Max Dowman was Spanish, he'd be in their national team. And the 16-year-old has to play for Arsenal in the running.
He's got some fantastic ability that sometimes you just can't ignore. It doesn't matter how old you are. And, it feels like as well he's becoming quite an important player for them at the moment.
Now, Napoli owner Aurelio De Laurentiis wants 50-minute games and no red cards in a bid to win over the next generation of football fans. He also thinks 15-minute half-times are too long and you'll just lose kids to the PlayStation. And back at Southampton as a consultant, Matt Letizia wants the players to shoot more from distance.
A lot of the time the centre midfielders find themselves with the ball at their feet 25, 30 yards out and with a lot of space. If I'm in that position, my first thought was, can I just get the ball out of my feet and have a shot?
Letizia also says he wants to see more Mavericks in the game. Portsmouth could do their rival Southampton a favour as the race for second place goes down to the wire. Ipswich go to Fratton Park live on talkSPORT 2 tonight.
talkSPORT News.
Is the government dodging responsibility by not publishing a national emergency fuel plan? And 11 Metropolitan Police officers are being investigated over their handling of a crash at a primary school in southwest London. Emma's got more on all that in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The season's changing, so get your car's shim pads and studs checked for spring with a free vehicle safety check. Book in centre or at quickfit.com today.
Sunny across northern and eastern areas. Across the southwest, cloud and rain moving slowly northeast. Feeling warmer though.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How did you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. So Leeds secure their first league win at Old Trafford since 1981. Has all but secured their Premier League survival. Meanwhile, for John Terry, is it a case of can't manage, so why not own? Also today, has Romero pulled on the Spurs shirt for the final time? Are Newcastle swapping no stands for supportive regarding how? Is the Bundesliga platforming trailblazers? And how does a former kickboxing champion topple Usyk? That kickboxer, Rico Verhoeven, joins us live in studio later on. Jim White and Simon Jordan, we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
One of the great many things that I enjoy about doing this job, obviously I see you on a daily basis, and that's part of it. He lied. But you go to major tournaments and you meet people and you remain good friends, like Mexico '86. Rod Stewart, now Sir Rod Stewart, and he regularly keeps in touch with me. A variety
Lucky
of other.
you.
a variety of other people along the way. And in Germany at the Euros, I came out of a match one night, one of the England games, and I met Matt and Jack from Weymouth, who are Leeds fans, and Matt and Jack drive around everywhere supporting Leeds United. And they sent me a picture this morning, you won't be surprised to hear, from Old Trafford last night, saying, how about that? And they're now on their way home from Manchester, driving back down to Weymouth. Where is that? In the south coast somewhere?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, Matt and Jack, good morning to you. Leeds, can you believe it? That stat. They secured the first league win at Old Trafford since 1981, beating Manchester United 2-1.
Don't forget they were at the Premier League and the Elite Leagues for about 20 years, weren't they? So half of that time was consumed by them not being able to play Manchester United.
Yeah.
But it's a great result. I mean, a lot will be made of the fact that Martinez got sent off, but the Leeds were already playing very well in that game way before that. And it's a great result. I mean, I am always quizzical now at the modern day footballer that spends all their time winning a football match. I used to think that you won a football match, bang, onto the next one, because that's what you're paid to do. But there they are at the end of the game, celebrating for 20 minutes like they won the European Cup.
Yes,
I guess it's.
True.
I don't want to be a killjoy.
No, I know what you mean.
But it always feels like, is this what we've become now? Individual moments. But I suspect in life you should celebrate the individual moments, and it's a great win. It probably does cement their position in the Premier League now. I mean, I didn't.
You think so?
Oh, I think so. I think that first of all, Leeds have become very difficult to play against, and they've been getting good results. Most of them, I said recently, are drawing their way to staying in the Premier League. This was a massive step forward. This was a win away from home where people didn't expect it. They've got infinitely winnable games against the Wolves of the world, I think, that you would expect them to get points out of. And so with that in mind, I think they've done remarkably well. I think Farke's weathered storms.
Yeah.
From the moment he stepped his foot in the Premier League, there was doubts being pushed his way. The team's pivoted and changed. Players have done better. Calvert-Lewin's done better for them than his original start point. He's got himself back in the England setup. I don't think he'll stay in it, but he's got himself back in there. And they've become a very difficult team to play against, and actually quite an enjoyable team to watch. And they stuck it on United last night.
Oh, I thought so, Simon. Yeah. I agree with you. 36 points are 15th. So now a bit of daylight between themselves, Forest, West Ham and Spurs below them.
Yeah.
Spurs now 18th, as we have been emphasising. Yeah. So have they taken a giant stride to Premier League survival in the process? Yes, it would seem they have. They arrived into this game without a win in the previous 6 league matches. They still have Wolves and Burnley to play at Elland Road in the run-in. But as you can imagine, Daniel Farke hugely lifted by that result last night.
Last season's 36 points would have been always enough to stay in this league and know that all the promoted sides from last seasons were straight away relegated back up, and we haven't spent that much money like other sides, and for that I don't just want a perfect outcome. I also want to enjoy the ride a little bit, and I want to win football games. And I think performance-wise we should be on way more points anyhow if we would have shown a bit more effectiveness in the in both boxes. FA Cup semi-final and as a promoted side on a good path, you can't complain too much about it, but we want to make sure that we can really celebrate in the end and enjoy the summer break fully, and we will just do this if we achieve our goals completely.
And so you should, and you would deserve to, Daniel, to be quite honest. You know, Simon, this is his 3rd attempt at the Premier League. He's been here previously with Norwich twice. He got relegated in his first season before getting sacked after 11 games, second time around. Is Farke showing you, me and everybody else Premier League credibility at the 3rd time of asking now?
Well, he's showing the ability to understand what it takes to stay in the Premier League without having inordinate amounts of money to spend. In both instances at Norwich, he wasn't given inordinate amounts of money. And so it was unfair when he was being judged by a set of standards at the beginning of the season, saying this is a guy that gets you up but might not be able to keep you up. And it was not nuanced. It wasn't balanced upon the fact that actually he wasn't really given much of an opportunity to do so. Now, other people have done it. Sheffield United had stayed up previously without being given enormous amounts of support, so it doesn't make you immune from being able to get some level of success. What he's shown of the 3rd time of asking is he knows how to navigate. He wasn't aligned to an ideology of a way to play. Leeds changed. About 5, 6, 7, 8 games into the season, they changed the way they started to play, and that's produced outcomes. So he's adapted. He's shown that he's multifaceted, which you should be able to show as a Premier League manager, because you either manage elite in the Elite League or you don't. So at the 3rd time of asking, he's shown that he's learnt the lessons. Now, how that'll stand up next season, because second season scenario is a different situation. But the most important thing is Leeds are in an FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah.
They've got 36 points. They've got Wolves. I mean, do you want anything? Would you want in your last 2 of your last home games to be Wolves or Burnley? You'd have them all day, right? So you've got to be saying to yourself, well, we're going to stay in now.
Yeah.
What they will also do, ironically, is not just perhaps secure their future. They might be pivotal in the outcomes of Tottenham Hotspur and West Ham.
True. Yeah.
Because they're playing those two teams as well.
Yes.
So not only will they might be king makers of themselves, they might be king savers of one of the other two big London clubs, because it's going to be one of the other two. I think Forest seem to have got themselves together. It's going to be West Ham or Spurs, and it looks now, as much as I might want it to be something different, it looks like it's going to be Spurs.
I agree with what you're saying this morning, Simon. So has it gone from 1 from 4, Leeds, Forest, West Ham, Spurs, to 1 from 3 now? And Leeds have lifted themselves out of it.
I think so. I thought Leeds would draw. I thought Leeds would draw themselves to safety, but I also felt about a week, 10 days ago, that they played so well but hadn't escaped. They'd gotten onto this run of form where they were making it very difficult for teams to beat them. They were getting good points against big opposition, but they weren't clambering away.
Yeah.
This result now gives them clear blue sky. Yeah. And you now look at it and say it is amongst Forest, West Ham, and Spurs.
Yeah. On an equally important topic, I used to marvel at your lovely long locks when you owned Crystal Palace. You had lovely hair. It was quite long and flowing.
Indeed.
And you changed it a bit
the
now and
fashion
again.
forgot,
Yeah, no, you were quite a trendsetter when it came to the old napper, which is the Scottish word for head. Lisandro Martinez sent off just before the hour mark after hair pulling on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I heard Jeff and Ali talking about this earlier this morning. But here's the thing. What was Michael Carrick on about post-match? Martinez initially grabbed hold of Calvert-Lewin's shirt before his hand transferred to the back of the barnet. Now, the PGMOL handbook, page 96, clearly pulling the hair of an opponent with force equals violent conduct. So that was red card for you, Lisandro, and off you go. Whether he had a little clump of Calvert-Lewin's hair in his hand is unknown. It wasn't spotted by the ref, Paul Tierney, but he was called over to the VAR screen, had a look at it, violent conduct, off you go. Carrick said, not really, no, not for me.
Shocking decision to send Leach off. It's 2 games in a row we've had decisions like that go against us, but that one I have to say was one of the worst I've seen. So you can elbow Lenny Oro for the first goal in the side of the head, leaning arm obviously, and then you can throw your arm in Leach's face, and then as he's off balance because of that, and he half grapple and he kind of half touches the back of his ear, which then pulls the bobble out, which then leads to look like I don't even know what it looks like. It's not a pull, it's not a tug, it's not aggressive. He touches it and he gets sent off, and worst of all, he was actually sent to overturn it, clear and obvious error. It's shocking.
Oh, all right, Vidal Sassoon. I'm sure you know what to do with the hair.
I mean, are we actually judging the force of the hair pulling?
Well, you've got to have a complaint, haven't you? You've got to have something to say that deflects away from the team losing a game against Leeds at home that you'd have anticipated. You were 2-0 down at the time. And you've got to have something to deflect away from the shortcomings of your side. But don't pull his hair then. Don't pull his hair. Don't pull his shirt. Don't pull his hair.
Yeah.
So you got sent off. The rules are clear. Because the referee missed it at high speed, that VAR intervened because it saw something that the referee missed.
Yeah.
And Michael Carrick may not like it, but your team were already getting their backside spanked at the time anyway.
You see, David Moyes, funnily enough, went in a kind of Carrick-like direction some time ago when Michael Keane of Everton was sent off for pulling the hair of Wolves striker Ako Kadari in January. And Moyes says, post-match, if you have longer hair, then there's a fair chance you're going to get it pulled. If you don't have it long, then you won't get it pulled. I mean, I'm not sure where we're going with this, Simon. To me, it seems fairly simple.
Don't pull people's hair.
You pull someone's barnet, either with a bit of force or not a bit of force, but if you tug it, you're off.
Yeah, it's simple. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it's victim blaming, but I don't think either Cucurella or anyone else are victims when they get their hair pulled. I think they're all at it on the field, but you don't pull someone's hair. It's really simple. Play the game as it's meant to be played, which is ultimately, if you foul somebody, there's a consequence for it. And if the fouling of a player means that you pull their hair, and the rule book is pretty specific, which you wouldn't have read, you wouldn't have paid attention to, you'll just have a whine about it when it comes on top.
Well, that's right. I mean, there's a message there. Morning, Jim. Violent conduct, you've got to be joking. I'm afraid, no, we're not joking, because page 96, as I say, of the PGMOL handbook, whether you like it or not, it constitutes violent conduct, and that constitutes a red card. There's really no arguing about it.
What is the reason for pulling someone's hair? I mean, we can all argue about the level of the terminology violent conduct and say, well, come on.
To give it advantage.
Is it really? But why have you got to pull someone's hair? I mean, so if it's outlawed and you know you can't do it, which you probably didn't know because you wouldn't have bothered reading the rules, you only complain about them even though you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Why pull his hair? So we all can talk about the ridiculousness of how it isn't really violent contact. It's come on, these are grown men.
Yeah.
But why pull his hair then?
Exactly. Why do it anyway? I mean, when you had longer locks, I did feel like pulling it, but I didn't because I knew it would equal violent conduct. Want to hear from Leeds fans this morning. You heard Simon at the top of the show this morning. Have you taken giant strides towards securing your survival last night? It would seem to me you have. You might want to tell us if you feel the same. If you don't feel the same, whatever you're feeling, give us a call, 03717 223344. And whether you like it or not, it's in the old rule book, page 96. Clearly, pulling the hair of an opponent with force equals violent conduct. Do you think it's too harsh? Even if you do, I'm afraid you've got to put up with it because it's in the rule book that you can't do it. Should pulling hair be deemed on the same level as a crunching challenge? There's one for you. 03717 223344 81089 at 10:15 this Tuesday morning. And Tyson Fury, along with Mr. Warren alongside him in the ring, had a look at Anthony Joshua sitting ringside. And Fury honed in on Joshua and said, okay, how about it?
Next, I want to give you the fight you've all been waiting for. I want you, AJ, Anthony Joshua. Let's give the fight fans what they want. The Battle of Britain. And here's my challenge. I challenge you, Anthony Joshua, to fight me, the Gypsy King, next. Do you accept my challenge?
Tonight is your night, and you know I'll sit across that ring from you in due time. You ain't going to tell me what to do. I've been chasing you for the last 10 years. When you're ready, you come and see me and tell me your terms and conditions, and I'll have you in the ring when I'm ready. I'm the boss. I'm the boss. You work for me. I'm the landlord. Remember that. I'm the landlord. You work for me.
Now, I've got to say, Simon, I thought AJ handled that brilliantly.
Yeah, to a point. I think he's absolutely right not to allow the whip hand to be Tyson Fury's because Tyson's all pumped up after being back in the ring and having just won a fight. The flip side of it is I don't think Anthony Joshua is the landlord. I don't think coming after getting ironed out by Daniel Dubois puts you in the box seat. You are both the biggest names in British boxing over the last decade.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, everybody. 20 past 10 this Tuesday morning, Tuesday, April the 14th. We're flying through the month, are we not? Next thing we know, it's going to be the end of the season, then it's the World Cup. Anyway, we'll get to all that. In the meantime, let's not wish our lives away. In the meantime, Simon and I live with you on talkSPORT, live in your telly as well, even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch the show, you can watch us live, and I'm delighted about that. 2 questions I put out before we went into the last break. Leeds won at Old Trafford last night, a tremendous performance and a great result for them. First time since 1981. First league win for them at Old Trafford. So it was quite a monumental night, and is it a night that is going to prove to be significant? Have you taken a giant strides towards your survival in the Premier League last night? And what about Lisandro Martinez, the Argentinian, tugging Calvert-Lewin by the back of the head, pulling his hair, deemed to be violent conduct, deemed to be a red card, off he went. Is that too harsh? Well, harsh or not, it's in the rule book, and off he went. You can give us your view on that. 03717 223344. Dan, big Leeds fan, good morning to you, mate. Is it Premier League football for you now next season?
Morning, Jim. Morning, Simon.
Good morning.
I mean, I've got mixed feelings about the Premier League. I mean, probably other people are probably with me. I think VAR is absolutely ridiculous. Yes and no, really. I'm hoping we do survive, but I love the Championship. That's the thing, Jim, Simon. But it's a weird feeling, but I think the football is much faster and more entertaining. I mean, but that game last night it were fantastic. It was entertaining to the limit.
Yeah, surely, now, Dan, you take the Premier League over the Championship as far as playing in it.
Yes. The bigger picture, yes.
Yeah.
Now, as it comes to this hair-pulling thing, now, I don't know if you remember violent conduct a few games ago. Now, what a few games ago. A certain Martinez, who played for Man United, went in with the studs in the leg. I mean, we're talking just below the knee. Was there a red card? No. So now, the questioning, okay, somebody pulling hair. I mean, is this getting that silly that we're going to ask Donald Trump and to Keir Starmer next what they're thinking as well? It's absolutely crazy. Like you said, Jim, it's in the rule book, right? Michael Carrick, you lost the game. You lost to Leeds, who were in the relegation. Yes, it must be embarrassing. Bless you. Go home, go to bed, sleep on it and get over it. We beat you. You don't like it. We all hate Leeds scum. That's what everybody thinks, Jim. Wherever you go, Simon, Jim, we all hate Leeds scum.
Well
do you know
done,
what?
Dan.
Good morning and good afternoon to all the haters out there, because I think that was absolutely brilliant last night, and we made a statement there. We are Leeds.
Well, there you go, Dan. I think they did make a statement last night, Simon.
I think they've made a statement.
I really do.
I think they've made a statement a lot of times this season. They're making a statement by being in the FA Cup semi-final as well.
Yeah.
This is a very, very big club. And it's amazing to me that this club was out of the Premier League for as long as it has been, or had been. And so it's no surprise to me. And now all you want to see is clubs of this stature being able to have the economic clout and hoof to be able to start really punching their weight, because they've got a fan base. It's remarkable. I mean, I said to you on a number of occasions, when I took Palace there, when I was there, it was one of the few stadiums that you actually felt slightly uncomfortable in. Their fans are very, very passionate. I went and watched Neil when Neil Warnock was the manager a few times there. I took Palace there when I was the owner a few times with various different managers. I saw Venables bring Leeds back to Palace in 2003 when he was co-sharing, I think, with Brian Robson or whoever it was at Leeds at the time.
Yeah.
And so it's a big club.
I'm not sure that Dan's right, though. He'd rather play in the Championship than
No. I mean, that's. I understand the focus, because you can become the big club in a small pond. But Leeds can be a big club in a big pond, and the only place to play football is if you're an elite football club. Is in the Premier League.
Here's a Manchester United fan, Matthew. Matthew, good morning. What kind of length of hair have you got, Matthew? Is it pullable?
It's short, funny enough, and no one's ever pulled my hair. People have pulled the collar of my shirt.
Yes.
Plenty of times.
You pulled your leg.
I think that's.
Yeah.
Had your collar felt.
First of all, great show, guys. I really like the show.
Thanks, man.
I just wanted to say that I think the hair pulling is farcical. I think the idea that you go up for a header against Calvert-Lewin, you try and get any benefit you do, just like he did against Euro when he elbowed him in the face. But that's neither here nor there. People aren't talking about that. What we're talking about is the fact that they both jump up together. You try and grab the collar of people's shirt. You grab the bottom of their shirt. You grab their shirt. That's what you do. That's football, you know? And unfortunately, because his ponytail is sitting below the collar of his shirt, he just so happened to grab that instead. Now, I get the rule book. I understand that. But surely common sense says that he hasn't grabbed the back of his hair and give it a good tug. He's just grabbed his shirt and unfortunately caught that bit. Now, is that a red card? I don't know. I don't know whether it is.
Matthew, is it not a tug on the back of his hair, mate? Did he not do what he set out to do?
Okay, but if his hair isn't there and he tugged him on the collar of his shirt where his hair was, is it a red card?
But his hair is there, though, Matthew. That's where his hair is currently residing.
But if you're a footballer, you do it every day of the week, right? You go up for a header, you grab that part of the shirt. Whether he's got long hair or not is irrelevant. You're pulling that part of the body.
Anyway, Matthew, by the by, mate,
why he's got penalised.
It was Leeds night, wasn't it?
Oh, we were poor in the first half. Let's get that first of all. We were absolutely shocking. Now, I think the big thing, I listened to Ali and Jeff's show as well, which is great. And the big argument of this 3 weeks off being a good thing is laughable as well. I think if I had 3 weeks off from my job, it takes me a week to get back into it. I said, so let's get rid of that straight away. And also, the other thing I was going to say is that it's I think, like I say, we were poor in the first half, but the red card, there's a couple of Leeds fans this morning which were winding me up, suggesting that the red card actually helped us. Excuse me, how? I think we started the second half really, really well. We had a chance in the first 2 minutes, and I think, actually, if we hadn't had the red card, we'd have been bang on that game.
Okay, Matthew, listen, we'll be giving you a show in your own.
They were poor in the first half because Leeds made them poor.
Yeah.
And Leeds put it upon them and made them poor.
Yes.
And this ridiculousness, wherever you haven't got in any conversation, with due respect to the caller, is the reasons why. If you were playing game after game, week after week, you'd then turn around and say we're playing too many games. Now, because your team have gotten beat, you're now saying that you haven't played. First of all, the players have been playing international duty. They've been playing another game, so they haven't been sitting around twiddling their thumbs, most of the players. So this idea now, whatever you do in football, the narrative is, if you lose, there's always an excuse for it. You lost the game because you were beaten by a better team on the day that were more at it and across it and took the game to you, and not because you hadn't played for 3 weeks.
Exactly right. Rob, finish this off for us. Good morning to you, big Manchester United fan. First off, you disappointed in the performance and the result last night? Second off, are you accepting that it was a red card for Martinez?
Well, good morning to you both. I mean, first of all, this whole red card, it's a complete cloud of smoke. I mean, I completely agree with what Simon was saying before. We got beat by a really good Leeds team last night.
Yeah.
We need to not forget that.
Agreed.
What I also want to talk about is whoever was on before, I think his name was Matthew, talking about now we have 3 weeks off. I mean, I can't believe what I'm hearing. Yeah. 3 weeks off. I've heard podcasts of players who said that their training sessions were more difficult than the actual games themselves sometimes. I mean, Luke Shaw looked like he had a good Easter, looked like he had about 15 cream eggs and a 1 cage of mini eggs. What's going on there? But I can't believe no one's talked. This cloud of smoke, this red card, it's a joke. What I can't understand is why is no one talking about the tactics and Michael Carrick? He was there for 15 minutes in that second half. I was watching him.
Yeah.
Chatting his way to Steve Holland. Now, what's Steve Holland going down his ear hole saying? Don't worry, lad. Gareth Southgate's coming in soon. Don't you worry. I don't know what was talking about. At half time, you had Mbeumo, Xerxes, and Shea Lacey warming up. After 25-30 minutes, Martinez either should have come into midfield and taken Ugarte, because Ugarte was absolutely woeful, taking 3 touches just to get on the half turn. Martinez, after 25 minutes, was losing aerial duels. Calvert-Lewin had a cracking game, by the way. I don't know why he didn't bring Haven on to get some height in the team. Move Martinez into midfield.
Yeah.
Waiting to 70 minutes. 70 minutes to bring in Mbeumo on.
Rob, I'll need to jump in, mate, because we're running over at 10:30, but all the points you make, Simon and I are kind of nodding in agreement with all of them. At this point in the proceedings, I'm going to put this question out. Can a former kickboxing champion topple Alexander Usyk? His name is Rico Verhoeven, and he's a character, this guy, and by God is he good at what he does. We're about to be joined by him live on the show next. Tottenham Hotspur, this mighty club with a phenomenal stadium, we all know that, of course, are looking at heading to Sheffield United, with all due respect, Birmingham, Swansea, Preston, Stoke next season. Is that what's going to happen? Graham's a big Tottenham fan and joins us live. Graham, good morning. Is that what's going to happen?
I'm sorry to say, I think at the minute, I think it has to be. We'd have to be completely blindsided, I feel, to think anything else. I said in amongst group chats with friends that in January, the moment we slip into that bottom three, I don't see us getting out of it. And I think it's got nothing to do, and this alludes to a point that Simon made, I feel, maybe 10 minutes ago, about not necessarily having that quality, because it's clear that the quality hasn't been there this season. It's about having the fight and the mentality to actually pull yourself together, earn the money that you're being paid, and get yourself out of this and restore some sort of reputation that this football club has got. Unfortunately, I feel for us at the minute, we have too many players that have completely checked out. When the going got tough in and around January, February time, when you actually sat there and thought, we're in a bit of bother here, agents started appearing. Suddenly we've got Van der Ven doing interviews with his dad, and straight away you look at that and go, they're angling for moves already. We've got Paulina, who's on loan, who I actually really like, and I feel he's probably the closest one we've got to someone that's willing to stand up and fight.
Michael Carrick's told talkSPORT, if that's a red card, game's gone.
It baffles me, it really does, because I don't know if that's the way we're going. And as soon as you touch the back, he didn't pull, it wasn't aggressive, he didn't jolt, it wasn't nothing like that. It was just to literally touch his hair.
Lisandro Martinez faces a 3-game ban for tugging on Dominic Calvert-Lewin's man bun. Leeds won at Old Trafford to move 6 points clear of trouble. Man United go to Chelsea in the Premier League, live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. Now, Jack Wilshere thinks Arsenal's 16-year-old Mac Dowman should go to the World Cup with England. He says if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Players should be picked for England when they're in form, when they're playing. So I think he has to play, but I do think he's good enough. You know, I said it before. I think if he's Spanish, Spain would take him to the World Cup. So why shouldn't we do it?
Now, how would you feel about no red cards, 25-minute halves and no small-town teams? Just a few ideas to stop football losing the next generation of fans from the Athletics interview with Napoli's owner Aurelio De Laurentiis. Meanwhile, Matt Le Tissier's told talkSPORT his own ideas. More shots from outside the box and don't sideline the Mavericks.
I feel like a lot of the time now the managers want to be the star of the show, and the tactics and the formation want to be the star of the show, and not the players.
You can watch Le Tissier's interview back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Don't forget, May the 23rd, it's glory in Giza as Usyk faces Rico with the WBC heavyweight title up for grabs. Join DAZN Ultimate right now and get 12 plus pay-per-views a year, which also includes Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois at no extra cost. Now then, this fight that's coming up May the 23rd, I just mentioned it, over in Egypt, the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. Should be some backdrop. It should be some fight, and it's a fight with a difference. Because Alexander Usyk will make his boxing return, defending his WBC heavyweight title against the former kickboxing champion Rico Verhoeven. Should be something else, but what has our Rico got himself into? Rico, good morning.
Good morning.
All you've done since you came into this studio, you sat beside Simon and you've been smiling broadly. You seem to be one of the happiest men around.
Oh, I am.
You're looking forward to this?
100%. 100%. I've been within martial arts and in the sport of boxing, kickboxing for like my whole life, ever since I can remember.
Yeah.
So within the kickboxing sport, I've done it all.
Well, you have. I mean, you've had 76 fights, 66 wins in your kickboxing career, and you announced your departure from the sport in November. When you did that, were you thinking of something like the event we're talking about?
Well, at least I was thinking of doing something else. So it was either like a big crossover fight like this, or maybe UFC, or at least MMA, doing something different. These talks were already, of course, going on, and then this happened. And basically, first it started off with a fight, potentially versus Anthony Joshua. That's how it started.
It started with Joshua, and
Yes,
so how did it maneuver onto Usyk?
Well, of course, he had the tragic incident at the end of the year. That's what changed everything and what altered everything. Then I had my whole training camp already planned, so I started training in December. We had a training camp in Spain for the whole month of January, and then the accident happened the end of December, and I just continued training because I didn't know what was gonna happen. And then we heard later on in January, the thing with Joshua is postponed, or we don't know the whole situation. We're gonna give him his time, respectfully, of course. We were like, okay, what else is out there? What should we do? What can we do? And then me and the team, we came up with what about Alexander Usyk? Yeah, why not? Let's talk with the promoter. Let's see what their thoughts are on it, because I've been the undisputed heavyweight kickboxing champion for such a long time. He's been the undisputed boxing champion for an amazing time. So how about undisputed versus undisputed?
And how did you feel, Rico, when the conversation went from Joshua, because of his situation, which was extremely sad, to Alexander Usyk? Did you think, I'll do that? Was there no hesitation on your part?
No hesitation, because I love the idea, undisputed versus undisputed. So that's what we pitched. And the only thing I heard on the phone is that we love it. Okay. Okay, what does that mean? So then,
do you love it, Simon? What are you thinking?
Well, it depends what it's badged as. I mean, I have a deep-seated love of boxing. I want to be careful because I don't want Peter Fury to get all upset again and say we can't talk to Rico. But the fact of the matter is that he's a world champion in his discipline. Usyk's a world champion in his. If it's badged as fighting for the WBC heavyweight belt, then I don't like it. But if it's badged as a fight between two champions mixing and sports becoming combined and a viewing audience, who am I to say that it's not worthy of something? He's a legitimate champion. I've always had this deep-seated love of boxing. My cousin grew up being a kickboxer, so I understand that sport to some extent and understand the discipline of it. Spent time with MMA fighters, spent time with Khabib in Qatar, spent time with Leon Edwards, the former one of the UFC champions. So I appreciate the disciplines more than I did before, rather than just being seeded in boxing.
Right.
So I have no begrudging of Alexander Usyk choosing to fight in a crossover. I have no begrudging of this guy. If it's badged up as fighting for the WBC heavyweight championship of the world in boxing, then I look at poor buggers like Ajit Kabiel that have been sitting on the sideline waiting for 18 months to have a shot at a world title and think that can't be right. But I don't begrudge this guy or Usyk having a situation where it's monetized, it creates a different audience, and if people want to watch it, fantastic.
Well, I get what you're saying, Simon. Rico's just stepped up and has accepted the challenge, obviously, as anyone would. Well, not anyone would, I wouldn't. But can you confirm to us, Rico, that yes, indeed, the WBC heavyweight title is up for grabs in this fight?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I totally understand where Simon is coming from. So it definitely makes sense. And that's why it's also up to me to give a little bit of context, but also within the sport of boxing, and is the WBC is the only one that recognizes the sport of kickboxing and Muay Thai, because they also have like a division of that. So that's why the organization, the WBC, they see the value that I have as an opponent for Alexander Usyk, because they know my credentials as a kickboxer. So, and that's how this all came about.
When you look at, because there's a lot of people that were very disturbed by what Francis Ngannou did to Tyson Fury in the first fight, especially boxing purists, right? And they looked at it and went, this can't be right. And then MMA got all ahead of itself and started to talk about how easily it was to wade through the heavyweight division. And then Anthony Joshua arrived and dispatched Francis Ngannou in no short order. Mm-hmm. How does that sort of equate in your mindset, looking at the MMA translation? I mean, is there more synergy between your discipline and landing in boxing than there might have been in MMA? Because when Anthony Joshua stepped into the ring, he did what most boxing fans thought he should have done, which was knock Ngannou out. And everyone was gobsmacked with what Ngannou did to Tyson Fury.
Yes, sir.
So how does your discipline translate in comparison with what the UFC guys do?
No, I'm definitely not gonna take anything away from anybody, because that's not up to me. Only thing I can do is mirror to myself. And I know I've been training with Peter Fury for the last 15 years, but I was boxing and he was training me boxing to kickbox. And now he's training me boxing to box. So I'm really familiar with the sport of boxing and being around boxing and being around the sport and being around all the best boxers.
And Simon, here's the thing. Am I right about this? Tyson brought you in for sparring when he was preparing for the 2015 world title fight with Vladimir Klitschko. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So that's a long time ago, Simon. Absolutely. And this fella's had the gloves on and is in with Tyson Fury. And of course, as you rightly say, you're now being trained for the Usyk fight by Tyson's uncle Peter. So you've been in and around boxing and in and around the Furies for a considerable period of time.
Yeah, 100%. And I've sparred everybody. I've sparred all the guys.
Who else have you sparred?
Kabayao. I've sparred with Dillian White. I sparred all those guys that came out for sparring. I sparred them all. So I sparred with top tier boxing guys.
So he's been living in the field. It sounds as if I'm making a case for this. I'm not. But he's been living in the field of boxers for a while.
But we'll see how that replicates itself in the fight. Is it easier? Because the argument was with the MMA stuff, again, I'm not just drawing parallels, but it's a recent set of circumstances, crossovers, where it's much easier, much more difficult for a boxer to find himself in the octagon fighting an MMA fight than it would be for another discipline to go into boxing.
100%.
Is it so? If Usyk came your way into kickboxing, he'd be in a world of trouble, wouldn't he?
I would destroy him, because the thing is, like, that's why they don't do that. That's why, as a kickboxer or as an MMA fighter, we transition into boxing, and none of the boxers thought like, hey, let's transition into kickboxing or into MMA, because it's something totally different.
Right.
When they, for example, get kicked to the leg, the body gets into shock because they never experienced that before. And we're used to that kind of
if Usyk came into your area, kickboxing, as you said moments ago, you would destroy him?
Yeah. Because
but you feel comfortable going into his territory and getting the gloves on. Can you possibly think of destroying him?
100%, of course. Yeah, of course. I totally understand.
No one's come close, Rico.
I know. So what an opportunity I have. Because what do I bring different to the table is I'm coming with kickboxing angles. And he's so used to, he's been dissecting the boxing game since I don't know what age he started. But that's how he does it. But the kickboxing game and the kickboxing angles are different. He hasn't seen that before. So that's what I'm going to bring.
I'm looking at messages coming in. There's Matt. This guy Verhoeven has won me over, Jim. Maybe the way you're speaking this morning, maybe you're winning a few new fans out there. Not that you need them, Rico. The other side of this break, I want to find out from you how you're going to topple Alexander Usyk. Stay with us. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the train goes. It's going to be some summer of change, isn't it, for Liverpool?
Again, yeah, massive. It's. Do
you think Slot might be part of that summer of change?
No chance. Honestly, I don't say that lightly, but the amount of Liverpool supporters I know are on the same page. The hierarchy aren't daft. They're not stupid. Finishing 5th for Liverpool, I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. Irrelevant of the mitigating circumstances.
It might get you Champions League.
Well, it will, and financially that's good, but where they're at is nowhere near. They're nowhere near it. They're only going to probably only get 5th because of other teams failing below them.
How many times did you play for Liverpool? You got a rough ballpark figure.
240, 250.
240, 250. So you must have the absolute utmost admiration for Andy. 373 appearances for the club. He came for 8 million from Hull.
Yeah, but the respect comes from not only his longevity, it's the level of his performance during that period. His numbers are phenomenal, and he's been. I think he's been underrated. I don't think he's ever, in all the success Liverpool have had. Yes, there's times where he's had some plaudits, but it's more been Trent.
Yeah,
you know, the front three under Klopp, all that's the Henderson, the captain, fantastic. Robbo's gone under, and there's the other thing as well. Last thing on him. It's no coincidence Virgil hasn't been himself because he hasn't had Robbo next to him. That's definitely a factor.
So, heart says Liverpool, PSG.
No, my heart doesn't even.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How do you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
We're live in talkSPORT. We're also live on YouTube, live on your telly as well. And if you're watching, then you'll see this huge mountain of a man in studio with Simon and myself. 6'5". Rico Verhoeven, the next opponent of Alexander Usyk. But there's a bit of a twist in this one because this fella's renowned as a kickboxing champion. And now he's going to adapt to the boxing discipline and take on the very best in Alexander Usyk. But it's so fascinating talking to you in the commercial break there and the absolute confidence you have in yourself that you're going to beat Usyk. I'm going to get to that in a second. Tell me more about Jason Statham and a conversation with Turkey Al-Sheh. What happened with all this?
Yeah, so Jason is a good friend of mine. He also came to my kickboxing fights and supported me within that. And I came to him on set, and we've always been talking about it because I also love making movies and I also try to be an actor as well. So that's how we connected, and he's a huge martial arts fan. So throughout the years, we just we connected, and last year during the Canelo Crawford fight, I saw he was in Vegas for it. So, oh my God, that's an amazing fight. I'm so excited about it. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. It's gonna be so much fun. And he said, like, you should do something with this whole boxing thing, man. It's like, yeah, I should. I know. I want to do something. He's like, you know what? When I'm there, I'll tell them about you. And he did. And that was so when we were talking, that was nighttime Amsterdam time. And it was Vegas daytime. So it was Sunday morning. I was on the treadmill. I was running. Jason calling me. Yo, bro, I'm on the treadmill. Like, how was the event? Bro, listen up. I told them about you. I showed them the videos, and they're excited. They want to do it. I said, okay, what does that mean? They're going to call you this week. I gave them your contacts. So,
and then it was going to be Anthony Joshua, and now it's Alexander.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The situation with Joshua.
Yeah.
You were doing some calculations in the break.
I asked him how much he weighed. I mean, he's 50 pounds heavier than Usyk. I mean, Usyk's been in with Tyson Fury, who will be in the same sort of weight bracket as him. But this is a different athlete than Tyson Fury. This is a body beautiful, not Tyson's body, albeit an elite body in terms of what he's achieved in the boxing ring.
Right.
I still, all day, every day of the week, sorry, mate, I think he'll get his... I think Alexander will deal with him, but it'll be interesting to see because he's very confident.
Can we get into this? I mean, obviously you see weaknesses in Usyk.
Everybody.
And let me tell you, his people listen to this show, and whatever you're telling us now live in talkSPORT will probably end up
in their laps.
In their laps.
Yeah.
But if you want to tell us in as much or as little detail as you're going to, from the first bell, what are you going to do?
Knock his head off. That's what I'm going to do. I'm, like you said, I'm like 55 pounds heavier. Yeah. So as soon as I hit him, it's going to be something different.
You're going to knock his head off?
Of course.
I think he's only been knocked down once. He's never been knocked, and that was a low blow. He's never been knocked down. You're going to have to go some, Rico.
Oh, what an opportunity I have here. I'm going to shock the world in front of the pyramids in this crazy scene. It's like, oh my God, I love it. That's why I'm so excited.
I mean, tell me about your punch power. What is your knockout capacity? I mean, you can see Usyk in front of you.
I'm always like very calculated. But yeah, when I connect, I connect. Like I said, there's a lot of weight behind these punches. So yeah, of course, within the kickboxing sport, I was used to just throwing the kicks and doing my thing. But now we get the opportunity to use the hands more. So Peter is like, oh, he's like crazy excited. He's like, finally, because we've been throughout all these years, we've been debating so much because he's like, yo, Rico, you got to do a little bit more of this. You got to. I said, Pete, I can't because within kickboxing, that doesn't work. And now he's like, okay, I can teach you boxing to box. So but now Rico, I just got to listen and get debated.
Up until now, mate, correct me if I'm wrong, Simon, there's really been no boxer who has fully tested Alexander Usyk. If they can't, how can you? When this is a different discipline.
I know, but like I said, what an opportunity I have, right, to show. And I know I understand where the doubt is coming from. And they're like, hey, it's a different discipline, but like, I'm a fighter. Like, I'm a born fighter. So this is what I bring.
I mean, you're supremely confident. I was watching you talk to Simon during the break. I mean, you can't. He's not short in confidence, Simon.
Because he wins everything.
Are you worried that you might get embarrassed on the night over in Egypt?
No. Why?
Because it's Usyk, Rico.
I know, but he's for me. I totally understand where you're coming from, but to me, like I've been fighting, like I said, my whole life, and then within the sport of kickboxing, I've been facing all these guys. Oh, Rico, you're facing this guy. This guy's he's been knocking out people like dominoes. Said, okay, but to me, he's just a man with two arms and two legs, and for him, I'm the same. We're gonna cross paths. We're gonna have fun within that ring. We're gonna put up a show. And may the best man win.
I mean, have you and Peter Fury non-stop been working on the adjustments that you've got to make as a kickboxer to boxing? All these adjustments.
Yeah.
Are you now very smooth with the adjustments? You feel thoroughly, smoothly transitioned into what you have to do?
Yeah. I think me and Peter, we've been talking about it. And we also said, like, okay, let's look at it realistically. Something that is not broken, we do not have to fix. Because I've been a kickboxing champion for over a decade. So that's basically what it is. The only thing is like, okay, let's make small adjustments which make it more appropriate for boxing. Perfect, let's do it.
You're just 37. I wonder where victory would take him, Simon. I wonder where it would take you, Rico. Having said that, Simon, we are in the company. Rico is widely considered the greatest heavyweight kickboxer of all time. Now, that is amazing in itself.
Yeah, super.
And what you've done is incredible. But do you have confidence or intrigue, Simon, that Rico will reinvent himself under the tutelage of Peter Fury and on the night surprise the world by putting Usyk away?
I'd be surprised. I mean, I like his confidence, but then he's a winner. He wins in his sport. He dominates his sport. He's going into this because he's an athlete. I think Usyk is not just your average fighter. He's not just someone that can hit. He is probably the most balanced, skillful fighter that we've seen for a very long time, and that adds a completely different dimension. If he was going in with a banger like Anthony Joshua, I think to myself, well, maybe, possibly. Even then, I think unlikely. I don't think so. I'd be surprised. But the rest of the heavyweight division will have to hold their head in shame.
Simon, you've been wrong before, right?
I'm wrong more times than often. You don't want me tipping you. If I'm tipping you, then you should be very unhappy. Absolutely right, mate.
Rico, let's finish with this. It all happens in the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, and it's pretty darn soon, isn't it? May the 23rd.
Yeah.
Say you win.
No.
Where does that?
When you win,
right?
When I win, yes.
And your manager's looking at me through the glass laughing because he's in total agreement with you, obviously.
Yeah.
Where does it take you?
I don't know. The sky's the limit.
I mean, you'd be the new king worldwide of boxing.
Yeah, I know. So I have no clue. For me, I'm just literally focused on the task that is ahead, and that's Alexander Usyk. So I'm not looking at potentially we might fight this person after that or whatever. I'm just
all the pressure's on him, With all due respect, all the pressure's on Usyk because Usyk he's coming into Usyk's discipline. Usyk is obviously the belts are being slightly fragmented now because he can't keep hold of them. But notwithstanding it, in most people's minds, he's the elite heavyweight champion. He's got all the belts, whether he has or he hasn't. So he's the one that has to justify his existence. If he goes in there and he gets beat, they'll say he's a kickboxer, and really he did himself a lot of credit by going in there.
Yeah.
If he wins, Usyk's arse is on the floor because the heavyweight division's looking at him going, "What's that about?"
Yeah, but
with all respect,
no, 100%. But all the box, he fought everybody. He cleaned out. He did. He did. Like, I don't know how respectful that is to all the other heavyweights, but
that's what he did.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
And he didn't beat him once.
Twice.
Rico,
The bar twice.
The fight.
Fury twice. Joshua twice.
May the 23rd, glory in Giza. Usyk's facing this fellow, Rico Verhoeven, and it's live on DAZN. Finish it off for me, Rico, in a sentence. In a sentence, what we're going to see from you in the pyramids of Egypt that night.
History will be made. And after that, I will be back, staring Simon down in the face. I told you so. And then he's gonna tell me in my face, Rico, you were right. I'm sorry. We're gonna shake hands. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have a drink afterwards.
Yeah, you are a star. No doubt you're a star. Absolutely. Full of charisma.
Thank you so much for joining us. And not only that, not only are you going to beat him, you're going to knock him out, you're telling me.
100%.
Okay, Rico Verhoeven, live in talkSPORT. Alexander Usyk's next opponent. Wowzer. It's 11 o'clock.
One thing I did think, though, was I looked at City at Chelsea yesterday, and when they stepped up a gear in the second half, I thought Cherky was fantastic.
Yes,
second
he was.
half as well. He gives you something totally different. But what I was going to say was the depth of that squad, that they can bring on Phil Foden and Savinho. They can leave Mamouche and Reinders sitting on the bench twiddling their fingers, you know.
Yeah.
I think that squad, Arsenal have got a great squad too, but I just think that squad depth could be the key in the end.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue with that. Again, they were so impressive second half. I mean, Jeremy Doku, what I love watching, when I'm watching him, Jeff, and I love Liv, the way that every time he gets the ball, his first thought isn't to just step inside and drop it off to somebody else and then go wide again and I might get it back in a minute. Can I travel 20, 30, 40 yards with this ball? Can I beat my man? Can I get beyond him? Can I then produce something? And every single time he gets the ball, his first thought is to get at people and get beyond them. Love that from wide players.
I do love that from wide players because we don't see that enough from wide players. However, it is just his 8th Premier League goal in 4 years. Isn't that wild?
Is that
someone like Jeremy Doku?
Yeah, really.
7 before yesterday.
Well, again, it's that's a really interesting stat. That is. But and again, for someone of his ability, he should be getting a lot more than that. But
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good morning, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Michael Carrick's told us if Lisandro Martinez's man-bun manoeuvre is a red card, then the game's gone. But Simon Jordan thinks the United boss is just deflecting.
Because the referee missed it at high speed, that VAR intervened because it saw something that the referee missed.
Yeah.
And Michael Carrick may not like it, but your team were already getting their backside spanked at the time anyway.
VAR called Paul Tierney to the screen after catching Martinez pulling on Dominic Calvert-Lewin's hair. Regardless of all that, though, former Leeds midfielder Gary McAllister reckons a performance like that put Leeds safe from relegation.
I thought from minute one, Leeds were fantastic. And in fact, getting in at 2-0 up at half-time, they should have been 3 or 4 up. I thought they were really good to a man. I thought Manchester United couldn't cope with the intensity of the closing down.
Farke's side are now 6 clear of Spurs in the bottom 3. Now, how would you feel about no red cards, 25-minute halves and no small-town teams? Just a few ideas to stop football losing the next generation of fans, according to Napoli's owner Aurelio De Laurentiis. Meanwhile, Matt Letizier's told talkSPORT his own ideas, more shots from outside the box and don't sideline the Mavericks.
Football has become almost a game of chess now, and Mavericks are almost frowned upon by a lot of managers because the managers, I feel like a lot of the time now, the managers want to be the star of the show and the tactics and the formation want to be the star of the show and not the players.
You can watch Letizier's interview back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. And England captain Ben Stokes has played down suggestions of a breakdown in his relationship with head coach Brendan McCullum, but admits their partnership will look a little bit different. 2 series against New Zealand and Pakistan await this summer.
talkSPORT News.
A former government advisor says the government should have already put out a national emergency fuel plan in case fuel supplies get disrupted. And a former NATO chief's warning the UK's underprepared for war. Emma has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. We now take American Express. More flexibility, same expert service. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Sunny across northern and eastern areas. Across the southwest, cloud and rain moving slowly northeastward, feeling warmer.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
Good morning, everybody. 5 minutes past 11 o'clock this Tuesday morning, Tuesday, April the 14th. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Whenever anyone stops by to this studio and has a seat in the studio and kind of wins us over, we feel obliged to talk about it further. I don't know if you're completely won over, but my God, were we impressed there with 6'5" Rico Verhoeven, the kickboxer who fights Alexander Usyk in the pyramids of Egypt. on May the 23rd. What do you make of him? He's not short in confidence. Why would he be?
No, should he be? And what I like about athletes is the ones that don't get their panties in a bunch when you say something they don't like. Not like Peter's nephew, who says something about Tyson, all of a sudden everyone's banned, can't speak to him anymore, and he has a tantrum. This kid sits there and goes, "Well, I don't agree with this. We can agree to disagree." That's how it should be. I still think he's going to get knocked out by Alexander Usyk, but I think he's an impressive individual in everything, from the way he conducts himself to his physicality, ultimately to his achievements in his discipline. But this is a different set of rules, and with due respect, his primary motivations in sport have been kickboxing, and going in against someone like Alexander Usyk, who can do everything, is going to be a tall order. But listen, this is the spectacle, and it's interesting what he says about the undisputed situation, how this has been marketed, how Jason Statham's got involved and been part of it. I've known Jason for years because he's very good friends with one of my oldest friends, and he's a big boxing fan himself, former gymnast. So it's 7 degrees of separation. But it'll be fascinating to see how the audiences react to it, how his sport are reacting to him crossing over into boxing. The boxing world will be sniffy. It'll look at it through a certain prism because it's very puritanical, because it likes its own discipline. But listen, it is, having met the man, it's more intriguing than my perception of it, because he's more intriguing.
Agreed.
It doesn't alter my thought process that Alexander Usyk is a whole different kettle of fish to a lot of the heavyweights, and even then I think he would struggle to beat any of the top 10 heavyweights. But notwithstanding that, let's see. It now creates spectacle because we put a face and a voice to this man,
right?
And he's got charisma to burn.
Oh yeah, and when he stood up, my God.
Yeah, but he's got style, and he's got something that a lot of we don't see a lot of.
What if he does it? What if he lands a punch that puts Usyk down that he can't recover from?
But
what does that do in the world of boxing?
But we've seen that previously. We saw Ngannou knock Fury, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen, and then Ngannou steps in against Anthony Joshua, and boom.
But this is for a world title. If Verhoeven finds a way,
but I don't agree with that. I think that's fundamentally wrong. I think if you're a boxer that's applied your trade and is waiting for your opportunities, like Ajit Kabir, sitting in line waiting for the WBC, who I think is an absolutely appalling organisation anyway, and all of a sudden they just step aside and go, actually, Usyk can fiddle about for 9 months, not have any obligations upon him to fight, and then he can do a fight against a crossover, and you're sitting there going, what am I, chopped liver? This is my profession. I'm sitting there waiting for a shot of that WBC belt, and you go and give it to a kickboxer, however charismatic and however elite he is in his sport.
But you've just admitted you're intrigued now, having met Verhoeven.
I'm intrigued. Well, listen, Alexander Usyk, for me, is such an elite sportsman in every way. And when you put these two men in a room, and you listen to Usyk when he came in and was fighting Daniel Dubois, and you listen to the temperature, the quality of the man, the charisma of the man, even though his English isn't his first language, you put this man in there, and then you put some of the Herberts that we've got in, as supposed world champions, who can barely string a sentence together and ultimately take the fence if you look at them the wrong way. So with that, you go, well, that's what elite sportsmen should really look like, shouldn't they? And sound like.
Can I just tell you, there's a whole heap of people in the offices just to our left here outside the studio, and I've seen Verhoeven there being followed around by a huge bunch of them.
Though,
he is a star, the fella. Bit of a Pied Piper look.
Good looking sod as well, isn't he?
Yeah, well, good luck to him. No doubt we'll hear more from him. Marcel van der Kraan is a friend of ours, a Dutch journalist, and he recommended Rico Verhoeven to join us on the show. So, Marcel, if you're listening over in Holland, thank you for that. We thoroughly enjoyed having him here. Simon, we can now say we know Rico Verhoeven. You know John Terry. I know John Terry, but not as well as you do. Now it appears John Terry is involved in the consortium aiming to buy Colchester United. This is ongoing. Colchester United say detailed discussions are ongoing regarding a potential takeover of the League Two club. If the bid was successful, John Terry will reportedly take charge of all footballing decisions. It's a bit cloak and dagger at the moment. Chairman and owner Robbie Cowling says we're not in a position to comment on any specific individuals or companies involved, but we know that John is involved. This is me saying that, not Robbie. And John Terry's nephew Frankie is a member of the first team squad, making 11 appearances this season following an earlier loan spell at Braintree Town. So Brady at Birmingham, Modric at Swansea, potentially John Terry at Colchester. Is this ownership without the financial responsibility? What is it?
Yeah, of course it is, to some extent. I mean, you're trading in the currency of elite footballers' names. You won't be trading in their money because they won't put their hand in their pocket because they're half sensible. They want to keep hold of their money. They know the risks of it. But why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have, if John is indeed interested, why wouldn't you have somebody that's operated at the highest level on the field of football as some form of ambassador or significant management representation inside a football framework. It's the star quality of Tom Brady is different to the football nous of John Terry.
Yeah.
So there's a different dynamic. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the Colchester fans think of it and how they view it. And we've got someone who's indigenous to the population of Colchester in our studio, and that doesn't give you much hope for anything, does it, really?
Producer Luke is
Luke's the poster boy for Colchester.
He's an Arsenal fan, not a Colchester United fan. Must be stressed.
Yeah, of course. But, listen, I've always felt that in one capacity, when I was talking to, say, young black footballers that feel that there's not enough opportunity because they don't mix in the same circles and people employ what looks like them, and I've always suggested at some point you're going to see an elite black footballer buy a football club and change the direction of travel and put his own management in there and what looks like him and reverse the opportunity that certain people think that black people don't get. Yeah. So I've always felt with the wealth in football that eventually a footballer is going to buy a football club and do something differently with it, especially the way football is going and the opportunities that are presented. And you've seen the models. Okay, there's a uniqueness about Wrexham because you've got a major Hollywood television star and another guy there also highly recognisable that created the digital footprint. Now, when you get these guys, Modric, they're not going to run the club. They're not going to be there dawn till dusk. They're not going to be making all the decisions. They're not going to be putting any finances in. And if they do, it's going to be very small amounts of their wealth to do it, because why should they? Beckham, one of the best thing that Beckham ever did was go to America, get the next cab off the rank and not have to put a single dime into Miami to be able to create a franchise that apparently Beckham owns. And it'll be like this with John. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's smart. If you're in a position where your currency trades you at that level and you haven't got to put your hand anywhere near your pocket to be able to achieve something, fair play to you.
I would have thought that would sicken your throat, Simon, because you dumped in a hell of a lot of your own money into Palace and gave it a good go over 10 years.
But that's a different discussion. What John Terry provides is something that the ownership model that will go in doesn't have to some extent in their mind. Now, whether people agree that John Terry will provide that is a different discussion. I think
what does he provide? Notoriety?
No,
football know-how?
Highly recognisability. A great degree of football understanding and knowledge, a great deal of leadership, and understanding what a good player looks like, understanding what leadership looks like. What leadership looks like, whether you like John Terry, and I happen to like him a lot, he is an undeniable leader. He provides a real leadership. If you listen to John when he talks about the dressing room that he operated in and how he talks about the players that he played alongside and how he elevates himself, not technical ability, but in commitment and application above the Frank Lampards of the world, with no disrespect to them intended. Yeah. That's what a leader looks like to some extent. You might not like some of the things that have happened in John's past, but there's no doubt about John Terry as a leader. Now, whether that translates as John Terry as a football manager, whether he can be bothered to be a football manager at this stage in his career, in his mid-40s.
Well, ironically, might it lead to that, Simon? Is this his best way into management? Being part of buying a club that installs himself in the dugout?
John Terry's best way into management is actually to be bothered really to want to do it, I suspect. To potentially have a little flirt with it and think I might want to do it, to really want to do it, to really apply himself in the same way that Frank has. And then the opportunities probably would have come. The fact is, he's gone a different route. He went to Villa, went coaching, went back into Chelsea within the confines of their youth development stuff, and doesn't feel that perhaps, given some of the observations he's made, that he's been given the currency he would have liked to have had in Chelsea. Who knows? Yeah. But this is an interesting one for Colchester, because otherwise, with all due respect to Robbie, who's been on the show, we had a discussion previously about the construct of the finances inside the EFL. Would you be spending any time talking about Colchester if John Terry's name wasn't indexed to it? Would we be giving it any currency if XYZ American ownership was going to buy?
Oh, I know, it's a good point.
So I never like the idea that just because someone of recognisability gives you column inches, it's a recipe for success. But you know what? There's only one thing worse than people talking about you, is people not talking about you.
If you ever went back into football ownership, would you want the recognisability of someone like Terry alongside you?
If I felt he was the right thing, if I felt John exhibited the attributes of the role that I required of him to do, of course. But I wouldn't. I've never liked the idea. I never liked the idea that it was Frank Lampard's Coventry when it was positioned that way. Yeah. It was Coventry with Frank Lampard. Right. Not the other way around. Let's not get the horse in front of the cart. Yeah. The football club, the people say, oh, if it wasn't for footballers, if it wasn't for bleeding football clubs, there'd be no footballers. If it wasn't for owners and broadcasters that put their money into football, none of these guys would be sashaying around in private jets now. So it's the football establishment, the football ownership model, and the broadcasters and the construct of football that holds it together, not the players.
Okay, Colchester United, mid-table in League Two, and they take on Accrington Stanley tonight.
Who are they?
Home. You never know, you might be there. If you are there, do a bit of John Terry watch. Here's one for you. Christian...
Photobomb him.
Photobomb him.
Go into the cultures kit and jump in front of him.
But you throw me right off there. No, you haven't. Christian Romero. Sad story around Romero with injury as he played his last game for Spurs. We're going to get into that next. Do you think Arteta's too pragmatic, Simon? Is this going to be the difference as to who ends up winning it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he says to the players in the dressing room, but clearly I do think the coach's responsibility is if he's not actually kicking a ball, it's his responsibility to set the players up mentally and structurally to be able to do it in a fashion that produces the best outcome. And I use the word navigate at the beginning of this section because that's what I think Arsenal are trying to do. They're trying to navigate their way through games, not impose themselves on games, not take control of the game, not to be bold, not to be fearsome, fearless. Sorry, in their and their reaction to circumstances. Now, when they went away to Sporting, it was the perfect time to not be bold because they were trying to manage a European game, and they got praise from me last week, and people criticised them because it was considered to be a workmanlike performance. But a 1-0 away result in a European game is a good result. Now they'll bounce back tomorrow or Wednesday whenever they're playing against Sporting and produce an outcome again. I think everything will be revealed on Sunday when they play Manchester City.
The question is,
do you think they'll be bold then when they play City?
Oh no, they won't be daft. No. They'll do what they normally do. The question is, if Arsenal were 3 or 6 points behind City when they played Bournemouth at home at the weekend, what would they have done different? Yeah. They would have committed. They'd have played quicker, more urgency. They would have got more men forward earlier in the game. They would have gone after them.
Feels like Arsenal have something to lose rather than something to win.
Well, it's a bit like Rory with a six-shot lead, wasn't it?
Yes.
That dwindled on day 3.
Yeah. So that begs the question then, who are Arsenal's biggest opponents in this title race? Manchester City or themselves?
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
There's a bit of sad news that came through yesterday. Spurs captain Christian Romero won't play for Tottenham Hotspur again this season after scans revealed knee ligament damage. There's now a big question mark as to whether or not he's a World Cup winner, of course, whether he'll play for Argentina and USA in the summer. He injured his right knee in a collision with his own goalkeeper during the Sunderland defeat after being nudged into Kinski by Sunderland forward Brian Robbie. But since the match, sadly, Sunderland have had to condemn racist abuse directed at Brobbey on social media following the incident. But anyway, the short and the tall of it is that Romero is expected to be sidelined for up to 8 weeks. He left the pitch in tears, but yesterday, Danny was in the studio with us, Danny Murphy, and he took something of a cynical view on the image of the tears.
Well, I think his tears were probably because he thinks he'll miss the World Cup. I know that sounds a bit cynical, but...
Tears for Argentina, but not for Spurs.
I think so. Why are you crying if you've just got a knock? I mean, it did look a naughty one. I think he thinks he's done his knee. I think he knows. You know as a player when you've got a bad one, and I think the tears were, I'm going to miss the World Cup.
The fact of the matter is, Simon, he may now have played his last game for Tottenham Hotspur because you have to think he'll move on in the summer. So has Tottenham's task of Premier League safety become that bit harder by losing Romero to the cause at this stage?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, not because he's the wonderful role model that you'd like him to be because of the quality of the player that he is, but because he's a very competent body that's in the building and they haven't got anyone better. That's the main reason. I mean, I've always liked him as a player. I know that there's various opinions about how good he is, but I think he's a very good centre-back. I think at times he's felt he's better than Spurs. And some of his observations, you know, I see what I was reading a quote in there about his observations about Liverpool and Man City. Well, there's a clue why Liverpool and Man City buy players, and they didn't buy you, Christian. You're at Spurs for a reason. You're not at Liverpool, Man City, so what they spend on transfer windows has got nothing to do with you because they didn't sign you, because they didn't fancy you, because they didn't think you were an elite footballer to play at an elite club that wins Premier Leagues. They put you in at Spurs at a lesser than club.
Now you're going at him on a bit of a personal basis because you didn't like some of the things that he said.
I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong.
Well, are they wrong?
I think they're uninformed. I mean, I think, you know, when you make observations about what we do here at Spurs and what Liverpool and Man City do, but Liverpool and Man City are different clubs to Tottenham Hotspur. Now, some could say that Tottenham Hotspur could be like Liverpool and Man City. Well, they can't because the governance restricts to some extent, albeit that Spurs' turnover is pretty significant. But you were signed by Spurs, not Premier League winning clubs. They're clues in the title, mate. So don't get ahead of yourself about what you think you are and where you think you are. And I think at times his lack of awareness, those that hate Daniel Levy and the board at Tottenham will agree with all his dissent. But when you pare it back and look at the nuance and the context of what he's saying, he's got no business saying some of the things that he says.
Really?
Because he's part and parcel. First of all, you didn't sign for Liverpool, Man City. They're a different animal with different legacies, with different achievements, and with different spend patterns. Right? You signed for Tottenham. They haven't won a league in 60 odd years. Right? So with respect, comparing it to Man City and to Liverpool is a different animal and a different dynamic, and it's just playing to the gallery. Your performances on the field haven't been at a level where you get the right to be a critical voice.
Is he playing to the gallery or is he sounding the alarm? Did he sound the alarm early? He's inside the club, Simon. We're not. He said in December 2024, Manchester City competes every year. Yeah. You see how Liverpool strengthens its squad. Yeah. Chelsea strengthens its squad. Those are things to imitate. You have to realise that something is going wrong here. Hopefully they realise it. So either swipe then after Postecoglou was sent packing. Ange, thanks for these 2 incredible seasons. From day one, you paved the way despite the many obstacles that always existed and always will exist.
I mean,
is he wrong?
I mean,
is he wrong? It's coming to pass.
You're part of a team. This is very easy stuff to say because it excuses you from the lack of achievement. I mean, Tottenham Hotspur finishing 17th in the league last year is a disgrace.
Yeah, but did we hear from them at the end of that, from the hierarchy, as to why they finished 17th? Again, Romero said...
Well, yeah, you did, because they fired the manager.
Romero said sometime after it, at times like this, it should be other people coming out to speak, but they don't.
But he would say
that. It's been happening for several years now. They only show up when things are going well. Is he right?
See, that's insulting to some extent, because you are paid, highly paid as a footballer, to perform at the highest level, right? And
so he's not allowed an opinion.
Now, if you get owners, he's allowed an opinion, right? And we're also allowed an opinion on the self-serving nature of his, right? His excuses him. You were part of a team, my old son, that finished 17th in the league, and you got out of jail in a crap Europa League competition that allowed you to evade your responsibility. And what you do is you say, It is. I want the owners or the directors of football to come out and speak about the reasons why. I'll tell you the reasons why, to some extent, is they don't spend as much money as other clubs because they don't have the ability to do so because Joe Lewis and his little mates didn't want to. Right? They also don't have the ability to be able to meet the obligations they have with the banking relationship they have, so they can't match the spend of Man City and Liverpool. They can't do it whether you like it or they don't. Right? So shut your mouth, player. You don't understand what you're talking about. How about you and your little mates on the field operate at your highest level week in, week out, and then you can point your finger at others.
But I tell you what, though, you cannot argue that he fights for the cause even when they're in a beleaguered state. On deadline day in January, they drew 2-2 with Manchester City. Great effort from everybody. I wanted to be available to help them, even though I wasn't feeling well, especially since we only had 11 players available. Unbelievable, but true, and disgraceful. Now, you attacked their January window, and many Tottenham fans thought, why the hell didn't we do more? And Romero saying the same thing,
I think that's right,
and played his part in a 2-2 draw with City.
I think that in this conversation, I have an issue with the ownership model. It has always been the ownership model that's hidden in plain sight, right, behind Levy, and hidden in plain sight about the motivations that Daniel had for running the football club the way they allowed him to, because they proved they allowed him to do by binning him out the door, right? So you can find out who was in control by the very nature of how the guy that was supposedly running it was shuffled out of the door. And here we are now with these guys with their big noise about what they're going to do with this football club, doing nothing in the January transfer window. But there's a balance between a player. Now, has Romero, in his time at Spurs, covered himself with a glory where you look at him and go, well, he's beyond reproach? When I listen to him, I think to himself, well, you know what? With due respect, as much as I might not like a player's opinion, I think there's a time and a place for it, which is never. Get on with your jobs and learn your space and place. You're a footballer. Do as you're told. Then you can start telling other people how to do what they should be doing. Have you covered yourself in every piece of glory? Because if you haven't, why don't you concentrate on what you're doing? Because you haven't covered yourself in glory. You're part of a team that stuck this team at 17th in the league. You got Postecoglou the sack. So don't start sitting there going, well, you were wonderful. You saved us all from all the things that we could have had happen to us, and it was always because of you and all the obstacles that put in your way.
Yeah, but hang on. Do you accept there's an element of
language? Do I think that you can compare Tottenham to Liverpool and Man City because you want to, right? They're a different football club. Sell it to a Middle Eastern consortium, lose your identity, have no value in yourselves, have an American only if that's what you want, and then you'll have a different dynamic, right? Do I agree that there's things that I think Levy could have done better? I think if Daniel was less of an accountant and more emotionally invested in taking punts. He's an accountant. He doesn't think about punts. He doesn't think about the risk side of things. If we push that needle here, then we could go here.
And where's that got him?
Well, it's got him to a situation where
he's outside looking in.
Yeah, absolutely. And he'll probably think that what these clowns are doing now is undoing his life's work.
They're on the precipice of the championship,
sure.
Simon.
Funny, isn't it?
What Romero has said. I mean, is it right to criticise his delivery then, but not his message?
I think that there is. It depends where you get the message from. I mean, I don't think players that are contributing to the downfall of a football club have any right to be set. They're doing almost what I said was Slot doing yesterday, which is third party. See that over there? No, that's not over there. That's you. See the cart you're in? No, that's the cart you put us in. So don't you stand on the sideline going, well, we're not part of this, right? But you lot over here are the reasons why. This football team, this group of players should never finish 17th in the league last year. And the only caveat to that was they knew that they were never going to get relegated. They knew that Leicester at 25 points and other teams were never going to have a problem with them. So the last 10 games of the season, they didn't have to do much in, right? But irrespective of that, they were a disgrace last year and they've been a disgrace this season. They talk about Postecoglou, they got him the sack. They talk about Thomas Frank, they got him the sack.
Have the board been a disgrace?
I think they've been very poor. And I think there's lots of things that Daniel could have done better. Absolutely. Easy to say, much more difficult to do.
So what's your message this morning to Romero as he's trying to recover from injury?
Honestly, good riddance to bad rubbish.
How compassionate was that? It's half 11.
Let's talk about the Pards derby. Newcastle came to Crystal Palace. They went 1-0 up, but ended up losing 2-1. Mateta, who's had a good week for Palace, even though he wanted to leave at one point. He's happy to be there now, still kicking the corner flag, doing his thing for Palace, but...
Yeah, he's got this dream of, and he's got this goal to play for France. I mean, when you look, Cherki's French, and Matt, all the great players they got. I mean, it does look a long shot for him. But if you give him a chance, and he's timed it well, Glasner, he's put him in that European game. They've not been playing well, and he's come to the fore. And they wouldn't have won these 2 games without him. He's not just the way he plays, it's his personality. I think he's an infectious kind of personality.
Is he better than Dom Solanke?
No, I don't think so. But I think in terms of a presence and a personality in the dressing room, that might make up for a lot of his technical faults, if you know what I mean. But, you can't... He has definitely got minerals.
Delivers as well.
You can see when he takes penalties and stuff, he's out... I don't like to say he's having himself, but he is. And I like that. You need players who've got that about them. And great result for them. Newcastle take the lead, lose. And, one of the things about being manager in Newcastle is that result and that fact that they've turned over a lead again will be absolutely scrutinised to the finest detail.
Michael Carrick's told talkSPORT if that's a red card, game's gone.
It baffles me, it really does, because I don't know if that's the way we're going. And as soon as you touch the back, he didn't pull, it wasn't aggressive, he didn't jolt, it wasn't nothing like that. It was just to literally touch his hair.
Lisandro Martinez faces a 3-game ban for tugging on Dominic Calvert-Lewin's man bun. Leeds won at Old Trafford to move 6 points clear of trouble. Man United go to Chelsea in the Premier League, live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. Now, Jack Wilshere thinks Arsenal's 16-year-old Mac Dowman should go to the World Cup with England. He says if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Players should be picked for England when they're in form, when they're playing. So I think he has to play, but I do think he's good enough. I said it before. I think if he's Spanish, Spain would take him to the World Cup. So why shouldn't we do it?
Now, how would you feel about no red cards, 25-minute halves and no small-town teams? Just a few ideas to stop football losing the next generation of fans from the Athletics interview with Napoli's owner Aurelio De Laurentiis. Meanwhile, Matt Le Tissier's told talkSPORT his own ideas. More shots from outside the box and don't sideline the Mavericks.
I feel like a lot of the time now the managers want to be the star of the show and the tactics and the formation want to be the star of the show and not the players.
You can watch Le Tissier's interview back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
It's that time. We're joined by Alex Licence, who's made a big impression on us, I have to tell you, from BetMGM. We're looking at some of the big events and the odds around and about them. Alex, good morning to you. Leeds United supporting Alex Licence. How do you feel this morning?
Morning, lads. Yeah, good luck wiping the smile off my face this week. There's a real spring in my step this morning, as you would probably expect. But yeah, what a night, what a performance, what a result. I mean, to a man, I thought we were outstanding. Yeah. That first half in particular, we just ran all over them. Tanaka was everywhere, and they couldn't cope with our energy. And realistically, I thought we should have gone into the break probably 4-0 up, with the game being done and dusted. But in true Leeds fashion, we made it as excruciating as possible, and that last 30 minutes, God, that seemed to go on forever. But there's no better time to get your second away win of the season and get the monkey off our back at Old Trafford.
Oh, it was something else. Are you safe now?
I think we need one more win. I think one more win takes us. Well, if we beat Wolves on Saturday before Spurs have kicked the ball, they're 9 points behind us, and I'm not sure where this current Spurs team get another 9 points from, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Spurs, incidentally, Simon mentioned in the column, Martin Samuel's column in the Times this morning, if they go down, he says, well, it's unthinkable. The way Leicester's triumph was unthinkable because the nature of modern football, because of the many rules designed to keep the elite in place, Tottenham's fall would surpass any relegation in history. Is he right?
I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair shout. Because of the way that Spurs was seeded in the intellectual capacity of most people as being one of the big six, one of the guys that are behind a lot of the construct of the reason why the rules are there to protect those that are in position, and Daniel orchestrated that, the scale of their football stadium, the expectation, a lot to do with Daniel Levy's ownership or the running of the football club, has brought out a scenario where it's almost... And then you think about the fact that Joe Lewis is trying to sell the football club despite their protestations, and there was rumours that it was going to go for £3.5 billion. Of course it is. Martin's right. It is, it is seismic.
Would it be a great advert in a strange way for the Premier League? Does it show that even the cartel aren't untouchable?
Depends whose narrative you want to run. If you want to run that narrative that there's nobody protected and that the pyramid is open to opportunities, and that in reality these are the brands that sell it around the world. So you replace it with Ipswich, with due respect to Mark and Ipswich Town. They don't have the same currency as Tottenham Hotspur. They don't have the same worldwide recognisability. So to some extent, it weakens a commercial position for the Premier League, because the big clubs are the big clubs. And they're the ones, with due respect to the other 14 members of the... This is the reasons why you'll not hear Tony Bloom or Steve Parish or other people kick up rough about Chelsea's situation too much. They'll be behind closed doors going, what's those rules about? What is that about? They've cheated and they've got, what? A piddly little fine rather than point sanctions, because they know where their bread's buttered. Right. They know that these guys are the reasons why the North American broadcast deals, the Australasian broadcast deals, and whichever other part of the world you think of that they're being sold into now, those are the clubs, the Man Uniteds, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, the Arsenals, the Tottenhams, the Man Cities.
Yeah.
These are the legacy football clubs that put the price tag at it where it is, and the other football clubs get the collective benefit of it.
Alex, what's it done for your odds in terms of surviving now, winning at Old Trafford last night?
Yeah, well, on Spurs, we've seen them. They're into even money. Spurs to go down. They were 11-10 before the game yesterday, and then Leeds now as big as 9-1. So yeah, it's been a big shift.
Wow, Spurs even money to go down.
Let's have it right. If West Ham beat Palace on Monday and Spurs lose over the weekend to Brighton, they're done.
Yeah,
they're done. They're done.
It could be that soon.
Yeah, I mean, West Ham will be 5 points clear, with 5 games to play and games in there that West Ham will think they can win.
Yes,
and and I know they've got Leeds in the mix. By that time, Leeds might be safe, so that might be one of those games that no one cares about that much.
Yeah.
And so, Spurs are really on a knife edge right now.
2 humongous games tonight in the Champions League, Alex. Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, PSG. What are you thinking?
Yeah, we'll start in Spain, and this is actually the 6th meeting between Barca and Atletico this season with Simeone's men. They've won 2 of those 6, but both of those being the first legs of the cup competitions that they've met in. For me, if you're looking at a betting angle tonight, you've got to be looking at the goals market. Atletico scored 3 or more in 4 of the 6 home Champions League games, and Barca haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 14 in this competition. But as you know, 2-0 down, Barca, they've got to come out and attack. And when you've got the likes of Lamine Yamal on your side, you never quite know, do you? So, yeah, I'd be looking at probably over 4.5 goals at 2-1. That's where my money would be at tonight.
Okay. What chance are you giving Liverpool of turning it around against PSG?
Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? But it's all on the first goal tonight. As we know, PSG, they're well rested. They had a weekend off. And Liverpool very much need one of those famous Anfield nights, don't they? But you look at the stats, Liverpool have been eliminated from 9 of the last 10 European ties, where they've lost the first leg by 2 goals. The outlier, of course, the 4-0 against Barcelona in 2019. And we're having a chat this morning with the lads in the office. They think that Barcelona team is better than this current PSG team. when you look at some of the players who started that night, Piqué, Alba, Busquets, Messi, Suarez, Coutinho, and then with the greatest respect, Liverpool started the game with a front three of Shaqiri, Origi and Mane. So given that, do you guys think that means Liverpool have a better chance tonight of qualification than they did against Barcelona in 2019?
Well, I've got to tell you, I was surprised by how pessimistic Danny was yesterday about their chances. And if anyone's going to give it a go for Liverpool, it would be Danny.
Well, pessimistic, realistic?
Realistic.
I mean, I think probably more realistic than anything. You saw what you saw in Paris. We have seen PSG have a difficult time against Chelsea, and then Chelsea imploded and let them get away with a game 5-2, which they weren't 5-2 winners of besides the score.
Right.
So we know that Liverpool can probably make it more difficult than they made it in Paris, but that's not the question. The question is, in order for Liverpool to make it difficult, they've got to score goals. In order for them to score goals, they've got to open the game out. In order for them to open the game out, they're going to give PSG a chance, and PSG are going to score.
But a Klopp Liverpool as well seems a different feel to it than a Slot Liverpool at the moment.
Oh, well, of course, because the feeling towards Klopp was very different than the feeling towards Slot.
Yeah.
You know, Klopp embedded himself in the psyche of Liverpool fans. So even when he started the first 3 years where he got to finals and won nothing, he still gained in currency, gained in reputation, because let's be frank, his brand of football was exhilarating.
Yeah.
And his personality in press conferences was box office. So all of that gave him a special dispensation that Slot seems not to be able to be getting, because he wins his Premier League in his first season. They're going to, even when he won it, people were, and I've said it as well, this was Klopp's team. Now it's your team, not so good.
That's right.
So it's an unfortunate thing for Slot.
Liverpool 2-0. I mean, PSG take a 2-0 lead to Liverpool, Alex. Barcelona go to Atletico Madrid, a 2 down. I mean, if they were to do it and qualify tonight, it would be one of the greatest ever achievements in this tournament.
Yeah, it would. I mean, just on that Liverpool team that did that famous night against Barcelona, that was the same Liverpool team that finished on 97 points, famously finished second on 97 points, to be fair. But they had that winning mentality, didn't they? And I'm not overly sure that this one has quite the same. But looking at the odds, we've got them 23-5 to qualify tonight. And then they were as big as 18-1 in 2019 against Barcelona. So as bookies, we obviously think they do have a much better chance tonight.
I fancy Barcelona. Barcelona beat Atletico Madrid in their last game at Atletico. The last time they played them at Atletico Madrid, which was the game before they lost the Champions League game, they beat them.
Yeah.
So this is long from being outdone with Barcelona. They've got more than enough capability, albeit they've got a few injuries, to go and overturn Atletico Madrid. But Liverpool, they're toast.
Atletico Madrid have 20-plus games unbeaten in the knockout stages.
Well, good for them. But the game before that,
they got home in the Champions League.
Yeah, we made that statistic about Sporting last week, didn't we, against Arsenal? How'd they get on?
Yeah, true. Tell me before you go then about the EFL Championship tonight, Alex.
Yeah, starting with the top two, Coventry now just need a point to be promoted. They obviously missed out on that chance against Sheffield Wednesday and had to delay the celebrations, but it's a matter of when, not if, isn't it? And then you're looking at second, you'd imagine Ipswich are pretty much nailed on for that now. Looking into the playoffs, we've got to mention Middlesbrough, unfortunately. After such a strong season, they're now winless since the 8th of March. And this is incredible. The bottom of the form table in the last 6 games, which is just astonishing, really.
What has happened to them? What a turnaround. Steve Gibson will have his head in his hands at the moment.
When you go into the playoffs, I remember when we went into the playoffs in 2005, we got relegated in 2005, 2006, and we sat in there for about 10 games, and we went in stinking form, and went out in stinking form to Watford in the semi-finals. So you have to go with some momentum. I mean, the team with momentum is Southampton. I mean, they are just beating the paint off everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they turned it around on the weekend against Derby. They destroyed Wrexham, who were the form side that everyone was all of a sudden, well, look at this Hollywood story. Not so much now. Got beat 5-1 at home. Lost to Birmingham midweek. So they lost again 2-0. So they're out of the picture currently. So it looks. I mean, if you were tipping anybody, you'd be tipping Southampton, wouldn't you? Because their form is irresistible.
Indeed. Chanda Eckert's doing great work. Hope to have him on fairly soon. Alex, listen, thank you very much indeed for that. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Abby Summers. It is Sunday, April the 12th. Your football club, Tottenham Hotspur, are 18th in the Premier League.
Why is he crying now? I tell you what, if they could all just stop crying and actually start real, have they only just realised? Like this is what is annoying me. This is what is annoying me. I've seen Romero cry. I've seen Mickey van der Ven cry. Where has that been all season? Has it just occurred to you, with 7 games to go, now 6 games to go, that you are sending this football club down? The captain, now you're crying. You weren't doing that when you was getting yourself sent off and missed 7 games this season. Mickey van der Ven couldn't one-on-one defend for weeks on end. We sat here and watched. Now you're crying because what, you realise that you're going to get relegated. Is that what I'm watching here? When none of you have given 1 ounce of a toss the entire season. They've looked like they've been so arrogant about it. When they was walking off and dismissing Thomas Frank. Didn't care, showing up late to training, which has been well documented from my club captain. Now you're sitting there and you're crying because you know that it's your backs are really against the wall, boys. You've got absolutely no quality in you. This is what is infuriating to me. It's now fully hit you. The arrogance about them is disgraceful. When people have sat there and they've said, well, Tottenham are too good to go down, you won't get pulled into it. We've slept-walked into this situation. The board slept-walked into it and had the arrogance about.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. I'm taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology, Rico.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Just want to throw this in. Last week, we spoke about the Liverpool supporters, Simon, who are going to be protesting about ticket prices, the increase that the football club is imposing on the fans. And that obviously the club is saying it's totally justified. The rises would be capped at a maximum 5%. Nonetheless, as promised, Liverpool fans protested against the club increasing the cost of tickets. A banner was run round the stadium at the weekend, no to ticket price increases. So the fans are following through what they said they would do. Whether it has any effect or not is another matter. Elsewhere, our friends at FIFA, the official World Cup resale site, was advertising a ticket for England's opening match against Croatia, Simon. The price of the ticket originally was $60, 45 quid. This is the official World Cup resale site. It's now $2,300, $2,300, more than 38 times its face value. That cannot, in anyone's language, be construed as being fair. Can it?
Fair.
Someone will pay it.
You've got
yes.
you've got 6.5 million tickets for the World Cup, which means there's probably about 4 million unique viewers because you'll have people going to repeat games. Right? So you've got 4 million people out of a world's population of 9 billion people. So you've got 0.04% of the world is able to go and watch the World Cup. So first of all, you've got to put it into those terms about the rarefied air that the World Cup operates in terms of its availability and the demand from the world. Because if you've got 9 billion people in the world and 6 billion of them are football fans, you've got a very, very small percentage of people that can go. I mean, the numbers do feel like profiteering. I'm a capitalist in my mentality, but responsible capitalism is something I always concur with, not irresponsible capitalism that affects people. The idea of FIFA, if FIFA was less opaque, I'd have probably more empathy. I believe that FIFA's responsibility is to plough the fortune that the World Cup presents back into the game to be able to give the underadvantaged and the disadvantaged and the nations around the world that don't have the same infrastructures that we have, even though our infrastructure in this country is pretty poor given the state of our Premier League against the other European countries like Germany. But all of that money goes back into the underpinning asset of football.
Well, that's just maybe.
But that's why I have less resistance to it. And no one has a God-given right to go to the World Cup. It is a very rarefied space. Most people cannot go.
I would say if they'd increase it from $60 to say 400 or 500.
But that would
you're like, ooh,
I know.
That's a bit steep. So 2,300.
So it's like the Lady Astor.
FIFA has no resale platform, which is no cap on what the tickets are sold for.
It's like the Lady Astor conversation. We've established what you are, and now we're just going to establish the price that we pay for you. The bottom line is that even on that scale, even at £500, people would say that's excluding people. At £200, it will exclude people. The bottom line is that it's a commercial business. It's a commercial world. The idea that sport now, once upon a time, we all celebrated and lauded and applauded the factories closing and everyone going down to the football ground with their rattles. That's gone now.
Oh, yeah.
Football is now about money.
I get that.
All about money. And the protagonists are the ones that make it all about money. The players, the managers, the agents, and the owners. And so the governing body will make it all about money because they will say we're the lesser of all the evils because ours isn't about profligacy. Ours is about redistribution into grassroots. So whilst you might not like it, don't pay it. The person that bought the $60 ticket is the person that's ultimately giving up that $60 ticket and reselling it and splitting a margin with a resale site, aren't they?
Yes, correct.
So to some extent, you should be asking those people what their motivations are because they are supposed to be the football fans that got the benefit of the $60 ticket and they're the ones that are seeking to profit. So it's not actually so much FIFA, it's them as well. So the so-called football fan that you want to protect, by the way, while you're having a little bleeding heart moment here, the so-called football fan that you want to protect has bought his $60 ticket and is now selling it to profit. He's the football fan that you're supposed to be representing.
Yeah, but
he don't care, or she. They don't care.
But I mean, it's pretty barefaced, isn't it? What they're doing to the supporters here.
You mean the people that have bought the tickets for $60? That are the football fans that must have got them from some reason or another because of some degree of allegiance to the national federation that they're part of and shown their propensity to be supporting their country.
No, but
are now reselling.
Barefaced on FIFA's part with its own resale platform, which has no cap on what tickets can be sold on for again.
Market prices. We should be more worried about what the supermarkets are going to be doing with surge pricing rather than worrying what 0.04% of the world can't afford to pay and watching a football match.
It's just. Can you be commercial and idealistic as well? If not, why not?
Depends at whose expense. I mean, I noticed that the former Liverpool chairman has made an observation about the world of football. He'd be better off focusing the ideas that he's got about his own football club previously that are now raising their ticket prices on domestic football. I don't suppose he'll pop up and say something there. What he'll do is virtue signal about something that really has little to do with him.
Well, Liverpool chief exec Peter Moore is saying it's a dangerous road to go down.
Why is it dangerous?
He says it's been weighing heavily on me. I can't stay quiet about it any longer. I'm 71 years of age. I've been fortunate enough to attend 5 World Cups starting in '86. That was in Mexico.
They didn't pay for them.
Those tournaments weren't just events to me. They were life chapters. They were about connection, culture, about standing shoulder to shoulder with people from every corner of the world.
Oh, yeah.
He's right. That's all lost now, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, of course, Simon. Of course it is. I mean, when you're seeing how fans are being ripped here, and not just.
Well, they're ripping themselves.
He says right now, it feels like the average passionate supporter, the ones who saved for years, who travel across continents, who bring the colour, the noise, the spirit, are being pushed out, replaced by a model that prioritises revenue.
The keys in the title is resell. So it's been sold to those so-called passionate football fans that have spent their hard-earned money travelling across continents to support their team. They bought the $60 tickets, and they're putting them up for sale.
So you're assuming a football fan's bought that ticket?
Well, who would have else bought it then, given the fact that a large proportion of these tickets are being sold through the federations? Are you suggesting that they were sold?
Could be someone like you that just buys it and just.
I'm a ticket scalper now.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Me and Marcus Evans hanging around together.
And Peter Moore is saying it's a dangerous road because once you lose the authentic fan, you lose the essence of what makes the World Cup special.
He might want to put his nose closer to home, mightn't he? Because that's the accusation that's been made of Liverpool, that you're suddenly catering to tourists. Why didn't you have a policy at Liverpool? You've got more season ticket holders. Why is it so many of your your football bases not actually season ticket holders, the most valuable football fans in domestic football? Yet Liverpool have one of the lowest percentages of season ticket holders in the Premier League. What's that about then?
Yeah, but
that's about profiteering.
But when Peter's talking about the World Cup, he's right. He's not wrong. The World Cup should unite the world, he says, not divide it by price. Football deserves better.
That's what it does,
so do the fans.
Of course it does. So it unites the world. When we spent our entire time talking about One Love armbands and this, that and the other when we were in Qatar, when we went to South Africa, we were talking about other things when we were over there. When we went to Russia, we were talking about other things when we were over there. We're going to America, we're spending more time talking about Trump. It doesn't unite. It divides a lot of the time. It should unite. And there should be an argument to suggest that there should be a more balanced pricing policy.
There you go.
But then the tickets that are being sold for 60, there's a resale question in this. Why are these tickets being sold on by the so-called people that Peter Moore purports to represent?
Why are FIFA not imposing a cap?
Why should they?
Because they're like you. They're just out
them.
to make rip off as much as they can out the sale of the price of one ticket.
It's like saying the government taxes everybody for their own benefit. What does it? The MPs get massive big pay rises? No, it gets rerouted into other things. So, but the bottom line is, where's this money going? Is this money
going back into the game?
Is it or isn't it? And that's the one question that I can't answer emphatically. But a large proportion of it is: do I think there's profligacy in FIFA? Has it been an environment beset with opaqueness and also some profligacy and corruption? We've seen it in the past, right? But apparently, because of old Gianni, it's all clear blue sky now there. And so the game is now being invested in and paid for by the football fans. And that money's going back into the sport that the fans love and developing facilities for the young kids that the fans want to see become the next footballers. Ask your mate, our mate Arsene Wenger, who's a major campaigner for World Cups every 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a major advocate for the redistribution of wealth and believing that ultimately the money that FIFA raises goes into developing a greater talent pool of players, which means the big clubs can't take all the best players in the world because they can only have so many.
A $60 ticket going for $2,300.
Resold.
Unbelievable.
Not face value.
On FIFA's platform with no cap.
The only thing you should be saying is FIFA should be not allowing it to be resold.
Hope I'm not interrupting you here. Rip off. It's 12 noon.
I walked out of the stadium on Saturday, and I'm an old school, and I said to your researcher that I think this goes back a long way. It goes back to Arsene Wenger the last 11 years. We're cowardly. We've got nobody in the midfield. We've got a lovely bunch of players that are all on their own lovely. No Patrick Vieira. Nobody to stamp their foot. No, Patrick Vieira would have been the ideal person on Saturday because he would have got in amongst them. Declan Rice, amazing player. Amazing player. You can't knock him. Zubamendi, great technical player. But every time we tackle somebody, they're picking them up. Are you okay? Are you all right? We need somebody, Simon will probably tell you this in business, you need somebody that can hardball, that can go in and say, that's not working. What are you boys doing? They were all popping Zubamendi out on the pitch on Saturday because he was giving the ball away, to be fair. But this goes back to the Wenger days of turning us into a weak, cowardly club. And sadly, we're going to go up there Saturday. I'll be up there Sunday. I think it'll be 5-0. I've got this horrible feeling that they're going to tear us apart. I don't know what Danny thinks about. He spoke earlier about having somebody in the midfield that calms the nerve. We haven't got that. We just haven't got it.
And it's not going to be that, is it? When did Arsenal last concede 5 in a game? I mean,
I understand his fear. I understand his fear because if Arsenal played like they did at the weekend and City played like they did second half Chelsea.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Michael Carrick says Lisandro Martinez's hair-pull red card is one of the worst decisions he's ever seen. But Simon Jordan says there's absolutely no excuses.
I mean, so if it's outlawed and you know you can't do it, which you probably didn't know because you wouldn't have bothered reading the rules, you only complain about them even though you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Why pull his hair? So we all can talk about the ridiculousness of how it isn't really violent contact. It's come on, these are grown men.
Yeah.
But why pull his hair then?
Meanwhile, former Leeds midfielder Gary McAllister reckons Leeds have been good value this season and deserve to stay in the Premier League.
Their performance level has been above where the position in the league is. You know, as much as they're 6 points clear of the bottom three, I think they should be at least pretty safe by the next couple of games.
Leeds are now 6 clear of Spurs in the bottom 3. Now, a supremely confident Rico Verhoeven's told talkSPORT he's going to do to Alexander Usyk what no other fighter has.
Knock his head off. That's what I'm going to do. I'm, like I said, I'm like 55 pounds heavier. Yeah. So as soon as I hit him, it's going to be something different.
Kickboxer takes on the heavyweight champion of the world at the Pyramids of Giza on May the 23rd. You can watch the full interview with Jim and Simon on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. And England Test cricket captain Ben Stokes says it would be a massive overstatement to suggest he wasn't aligned with head coach Brendan McCullum on the Ashes tour of Australia. They appeared to take contrasting approaches during their 4-1 thrashing over the winter. England are looking to bounce back against New Zealand and Pakistan this summer.
talkSPORT News.
Is the government dodging responsibility by not publishing a national emergency fuel plan? And a former Labour Defence Secretary will later warn that Britain's national security is in peril. Sinead's got more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 400 EV-ready centres across the UK, we're top of the league for electric car owners. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Sunny across northern and eastern areas. Across the southwest, cloud and rain moving slowly northeastwards, feeling warmer.
Good afternoon, everybody. 5 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. Apple TV, Chromecast, even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch the show. You can do just that. And on a daily basis, I'm told by so many people that you watch the show every single morning between 10 and 1, and that is fine by me. So many messages still coming in about the kickboxer who's going to take on Alexander Usyk, Rico Verhoeven, who wasn't short in confidence, not short in height, 6'5", and he's going to give it everything in the Pyramids of Egypt. But of course, so much going on in the fight game now that Tyson Fury is back, throwing out the challenge to Anthony Joshua at the weekend, and so much to get into. And boxing's once termed golden boy, Ben Whittaker, returns to the ring this Saturday night, and he takes on Brian Suarez. It's at the M&S Arena in Liverpool, and it is live on DAZN. I'm delighted to say he's a Matchroom fighter these days, as Ben Whittaker. Matchroom's chief executive, Frank Smith, has stopped by and joins us live here in the studio. Mr. Smith, good afternoon to you.
How are you, sir?
Good, Frank. Good to see you. You'll need to give some dispensation to this man who's surrounding himself with aspirin, with ibuprofen. He's a bit of a bad back this morning.
Carrots as well.
Carrots,
coffee.
Yeah. So I can see you better, Frank.
I didn't think this was the mix that would be in here.
Insert a carrot somewhere in a minute, Frank, if you keep on.
It didn't stop him telling Verhoeven to his face that he thinks Alexander Usyk will beat him. But anyway, that is by the by.
It'll be interesting.
Well, does it interest you, Frank? I mean, you're steeped in it.
I just think, who would have thought the Ngannou-Fury fight would have gone the way it went? The first fight.
Yeah.
Boxing is such a wild sport, and heavyweights especially. Look, Alexander is a special fighter. I mean, it's a show, isn't it? It's entertainment, and that's what you're going to get. That's why people are going to tune in.
I think so. And this guy had a presence, did he not, Simon?
Very charismatic.
Yeah, we could chuck himself up and wasn't afraid to do so. We shall see. Ben Whittaker, your fighter these days, Frank, is his second fight under the Matchroom banner. He goes in against this fella Suarez, who has 21 wins, 20 by KO, 4 defeats. I mean, what kind of test is this for Ben?
Look, I think it's the toughest test he's had to date, in truth. I think, we saw Suarez went 10 rounds with Lyndon Arthur, gave him a real hard fight in that fight. And, these are the kind of steps we need with Ben Whittaker to get him to the point we believe he can be at. And these are the kind of fights he needs to go through. Like I say, I think he's the best opponent he's had to date, 20 stoppages, and he's got to be careful in there. But we believe he can go to the very top.
Well, last time out, he beat Benjamin Gavazzi inside one round. You were fairly critical of Ben Shalom and boxers' matchmaking for Whittaker in the past. So Gavazzi, I'm afraid to say, who is he? Now we hear about this fella Suarez. What's the thinking so far with you guys about how you're pitching him?
I think you have to build him at the right pace. If he's going to be what we believe he can be for the long term for the sport, we have to build him into the right fights.
And what do you believe he can be?
I believe he can be a world champion. I believe he can be a unified, undisputed world champion in time. He has amazing, stellar amateur background, going through the Olympics, winning that medal, and then going into the pro ranks. But I don't think he's had the consistency. I don't think he's been busy enough. And I think now that's the key for us is, the aim this year is to have 4 fights this year. So 5 fights in a 14-month period. And that activity is going to be key. But stepping him up in the levels at the right time. I think this is a perfect step up. I think in his next fight in June, you'll see another step up for him. And look, ultimately, you can only judge him against the opponents as he continues to step up.
Yeah.
That's going to be the key.
A unified world champion. Do you see Ben Whittaker as that very person that's holding the belt?
Depends. I mean, do I see him beating a better Biev and Bivol in their pomp? No, but they're going to disappear over the horizon soon. Do I see him beating Callum Smith? No, he's going to disappear over the horizon soon. I'll be interested to see when he starts fighting, whether it's stepping up against, say, a Dan Aziz or a Craig Richards, and those sort of fights come along. Then you're going to see whether the flamboyance, the clear ability, and the style, and the fact that got him a silver medal, and has seen him in some of the fights that we've seen him in with the style that he's exhibited, can translate. I think it can. I think the reservations that people had about Ben were the punch power and whether he could get people out of there, because a few of the fights that we were having at the back end of his time with Ben Shalom's boxer, there was a question about power. I think that's probably ill-founded. I think he's a star. I think it's like anything. There's been plenty of stars that haven't won world titles. It's about when they get an opportunity and who they get an opportunity against. And whatever the rancor between Matchroom and Box, and whatever my opinion about what Frank said at the time about the circumstances, Matchroom know what they're doing. And they didn't go and get Ben Whittaker because they didn't think he was going to be a star. They know he's going to be a star. They're going to curate him in that direction.
Yeah. Still heavily on the showboating aspect. Is he still going to be given that?
Yeah, I hope so, because they're some of the best clips he's got as well. I said to him in his last fight, we didn't manage to get any clip rights from his previous fights from Boxer. So I said, can you give us something? He knocked him out. Stunning knockout, by the way. But I said, can you give us a bit more flashy stuff? But I think, look, as well, under Andy Lee is going to be a great mix. I think Andy Lee's one of the best trainers in the sport. I think he gels very well with him. The relationship's very good. And I think you're going to continue to see growth from him there as well.
So on Ben Whittaker specifically, Ben, Frank, and I don't have anything against Ben, but you don't think any of the early shine that we saw of it, like, who the hell is this guy in the ring entertaining that hasn't rubbed off in any way, Frank?
No, not at all.
And we still see the best
I think you'll still see that, as well as improvements under Andy Lee. I just meant in our fight, he knocked him out so quickly, we didn't get any of the clips of him showboating. So now we've got none of those showboating clips, so we need a few of those.
I think what's diminished Ben more than anything is not the showboating. And it divides opinion. I personally think it's style, and I like it.
I know, you like it for some reason.
But I do, because I think there's so little charisma in society, there's so little style, everyone's got to be the same. The thing that's diminished Ben was Liam Cameron. And the fight that happened with Liam Cameron. And unfortunately, when you throw stuff at people, the fact he went and demolished him in the second fight, people still say, well, that's what you should have done in the first.
Yeah.
And there will still be a little bit of a legacy, a little bit of residue whenever everyone wants to pop it out, and I'm doing it now, which is, did you swallow that first fight? Are you all that you think you are? And until he goes on and starts really putting people away of a higher level, there's still going to be that little bit of snide innuendo there because because Ben's such a big personality.
Yeah.
And I think that's always going to be there in the sport until you start to step up those levels and people go, actually, but that's the sport we're in. And unfortunately, because of the personality, people even more so push on that side. But it's like that's what's made him and put him in the position he's in.
Sure.
And
Well,
got
he
him the
returns to the ring
opportunities.
Saturday night. Brian Suarez in Liverpool. It's live in DAZN. I saw you on my television, Mr. Smith, on Saturday night. You were sitting there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the company of Anthony Joshua. And you all watched as Tyson Fury came back to the ring. How much of prime Fury is still there? Because he couldn't put Makhmudov away.
Yeah, look, I think, he's older, obviously, and he hasn't always lived the life, but people have written him off so many times when he's come back from these retirements, and look what he's gone on to do. So you have to respect him in that sense. But I think Anthony Joshua knocks out Tyson Fury when the fight happens.
You're shaking your head.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think nothing's really changed in that dynamic. I've always felt that Fury beats Joshua. I know there's divided opinions on it. I thought Anthony was absolutely right to operate the way he did on Saturday and not be drawn into the conversation with Fury on Fury's terms, irrespective of what they did and didn't know. But he ain't the landlord.
Yeah.
The landlord doesn't get knocked out in his last fight. And, the fact of the matter is he's got a lot of questions to answer himself. But I think he was right to operate the way he did in the conversation with Fury.
Not say, yes, I'll fight you. Did you know all that theatre was happening, Frank?
There's always theatre. I think there's always going to be theatre with Anthony Joshua there in the front row, Tyson Fury on his return. But AJ, as we know, has been through a lot, and it's about doing things in the right manner now for AJ, in the right steps at the right times, and that's what we're working through now. You'll see him back in the ring, and I believe the Fury fight will happen. It's not done, but I believe it will happen.
It will happen. So on Saturday night, he just chose to step back slightly because he wasn't there to say a yes or a no.
But I think the key is with Anthony, he's always been the same. He's never tried to take the limelight away from anyone else. He's never been the one jumping in the ring, trying to make the noise at other people's fights. And that's never changed.
Right.
So he's not going to change his character now after 13 years as a pro.
Yeah. I mean, after the fight, you probably heard it, and I'll play it now. Fury suggested that Joshua, he seemingly doesn't want it.
After the fight, you all saw what happened. I never mentioned Anthony Joshua in the whole build-up or since his accident. Right. I've given him his respect that he deserves and his space. But tonight, he come here for the job. And I asked him to do the fight, and he should have got in there and did it, but he didn't give an answer. He didn't, to my opinion, he didn't want no smoke. He didn't want it. He didn't look like he wanted it. He was just shell-shocked, didn't know what to say. He came ringside to make a fight, and yeah, if it was me, I'd have jumped in that ring, faced off, let's get it on. 10 years in the making, and still, after all this time, there's still uncertainty about if this fight's going to happen next. I don't know. You can ask me, is it going to happen? Do I want it? Yes. But is it going to happen? I've no idea. I hope so, but you can't force someone to do something, and that's the fact.
So, Matchroom's chief exec, Frank Smith, is with us, and of course, very much tied up with Anthony Joshua. Frank Warren yesterday told us it's agreed on Fury's side. You won't be surprised to hear, Frank. Yeah. But, I mean, can you tell us now, it's a matter of time before Joshua comes out and says, all right, I'm going to fight him.
It's ongoing. Like we said.
Does he want to fight him?
Yeah, he wants the biggest fights. He always has. That's why he's in the sport. He wants to take the biggest fights. He wants to take the biggest tests. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the sport. He wouldn't return. But again, it's about doing things in the right manner off the back of what's happened. He's back in training camp with Team Usyk out in Spain, which is great for him. I believe that's a fight we'll see. Look, they're two complete polar opposite characters. Tyson Fury, what he just said in that clip there is what he is. He would jump in the ring. He'd make it because that's who he is. Yeah. That's what makes Tyson Fury what he is. Yeah. That's not Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, as I said before, has throughout his career been the composed character who just is chilled. And, I believe, Simon may say he's not the landlord, but he's in charge in this situation. Because I
think Frank's right about that. I think he is in charge now. There ain't no fight until Anthony says yes.
Of course not. And if Tyson Fury changes his mind and decides that he doesn't want to be part of a contract and he can repudiate his agreement with Turkey or Sheikh, then he won't be part of it either. I mean, this fight is what it is. It's quenching a thirst. It's not quenching a thirst for me. I'm looking at Moses Atoma. I'm looking at Daniel Dubois, Fabio Wardley. I'm looking at Ajit Kabir.
You will watch this.
Of course I will watch it. But it's not. Of course I'll watch it because it'd be foolish not to. But it's not quenching a thirst for me. What it's doing for these guys is giving them a bigger bank balance because they've both been heavyweight champions of the world. The Battle of Britain is a load of old pony. They've both been heavyweight champions of the world. This is the also-ran prize. This is if you said to these two guys, you can have this Battle of Britain, but you get £5 million each, they'd be nowhere near it. So the scale of the fight is what the reality of the reasons why they're fighting, not for the baubles, not for being the Battle of Britain, because if they were both heavyweight champions of the world fighting for the undisputed belt all day, every day of the week, wow, what a fight. But they're past that now. So they're looking at different things, and what they've got is a great big exit sign saying, follow the road down this route to earn a huge amount of cash, even though you've made a lot of money already.
And what's wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. What I'm saying is that my interest, for me personally, I don't know what Frank's is, obviously he's representing Anthony, so he'll have a different view, is I'm looking at Moses Atoma. I'm looking at the next generation heavyweights going, those are the real fights I want to see. I don't want to see Deontay Wilder versus Derek Chisora. It's a tribute act.
No, I don't want to see that. I certainly want to see AJ Fury.
And the intrigue that these two guys, of course, because of what they represented to British boxing.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the business end of sport, what I'm really watching boxing for is the jeopardy. And there's no jeopardy in this besides how much money can these two boys rinse out the people that want to pay it.
I think there is jeopardy because I think the fight... The storyline has been there. It's been growing for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get in the ring, and I believe Anthony Joshua is going to do a job on Tyson Fury. Obviously, we disagree on that.
Yeah.
But isn't that great? You have your
of course,
view, and I know I'm biased, but
and that's what makes the sport great. But it's also when you sit there and you've been wiped out by Daniel Dubois, you are not the boss of the conversation.
All right. No, fair enough. Frank, stay with us. The other side of this bit, we're going to talk more. Jai Opetaia for one, Conor Benn another. Stay with us. And Tyson Fury, along with Mr. Warren alongside him in the ring, had a look at Anthony Joshua sitting ringside. And Fury honed in on Joshua and said, okay, how about it?
Next, I want to give you the fight you've all been waiting for. I want you, AJ, Anthony Joshua. Let's give the fight fans what they want. The Battle of Britain. And here's my challenge. I challenge you, Anthony Joshua, to fight me, the Gypsy King, next. Do you accept my challenge?
Tonight is your night, and you know I'll sit across that ring from you in due time. You ain't going to tell me what to do. I've been chasing you for the last 10 years. When you're ready, you come and see me and tell me your terms and conditions, and I'll have you in the ring when I'm ready. I'm the boss.
I'm the boss.
You work for me. I'm the landlord. Remember that. I'm the landlord. You work for me.
Now, I've got to say, Simon, I thought AJ handled that brilliantly.
Yeah, to a point. I think he's absolutely right not to allow the whip hand to be Tyson Fury's because Tyson's all pumped up after being back in the ring and having just won a fight. The flip side of it is I don't think Anthony Joshua is the landlord. I don't think coming after getting ironed out by Daniel Dubois puts you in the box seat. You are both the biggest names in British boxing over the last decade.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology, Rico.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
So many people getting in touch. Boxing, love it when you talk boxing, even on a Tuesday. Well, that is fine by us. Obviously, we devote an hour to it on a Thursday on a regular basis. But sure, we're doing it because there's so much going on in the world of boxing. And Matchroom's chief executive, Frank Smith, has stopped by and is in conversation with myself and Simon. And so much is going on. And so much will continue to go on. At the weekend there, though, Frank, we saw Conor Benn in action. He overcame former world champion Regis Prograis on points after fighting with cuts above both eyes via head clashes. All three judges went with Benn 98-92. Prograis said, "That's it for me," at the end of it. So what now for Benn? This was Conor Benn, fairly vocal yesterday.
More motivated now than ever. First fight back at 147, 150. I'm ready to drop back down to 147 and get that world title. Get what belongs to me. Keep that belt warm, guys, here. I'm coming through.
Conor seemingly speaking from some kind of music box, telling us, come on, Ryan Garcia, let's have it. I mean, Frank, you were sitting with AJ at the weekend. What was the conversation with you guys about Conor? Is he showing world champion signs?
Look, I don't want to come across as bitter. You know, I think throughout this process, I've tried to stay, quite emotionless in it. I don't think he had a great performance, in truth. I don't think he looked great in that fight against Regis Prograis. I don't think Regis Prograis really should have been in there, in all honesty.
He didn't want to be, I don't think.
No, I don't think he wanted to be in there. I don't think he was fit and injury. Look, no fighter's ever going to be injury-free. That's the reality of it. Completely 100% injury-free through the camps they go through. But I think it wasn't a great performance. You're not always going to have your best performance, though. So, it might have been one of those nights where he just didn't deliver a performance. I think it's going to be difficult at 147 for him, in truth. He made 150. He didn't look great in fight week doing that. Obviously, when we were still representing Conor, I always said the medical side of it said he could make 147. That's why he was focused on doing it. But the fights are there for him at 147. They're the fights he wants. Ryan Garcia at 147 for the world title. I think Ryan Garcia, in truth, is, is going to be a very tough fight for him off the back of that performance on Saturday night.
Yeah, and Matchroom had him. It was a one-fight deal with Zuffa.
Yeah, allegedly.
Are you going back to him?
If you believe that he's been paid $15 million for a one-fight deal in a 10-round warm-up fight, £150 against a guy we wouldn't have put him in against, then, good luck to you. But I won't go into too much detail of that. I think...
So it's not a one-fight deal?
I don't believe so. But let's see. I mean, who on earth, unless... If it is a one-fight deal and they're paying him that much money, then the shareholders of TKO need to have a good look at what they were doing. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Briefly, we saw Justice Hooney on Saturday night, and it was up against Fraser Clark, and he got the win. Now, where is this legally? Because there's a bit of an ownership battle going on over Justice Hooney and with yourselves, and am I right, Mick Francis of Tasman Fighters?
Yeah, look, we have a promotional contract with Justice Hooney. They made this fight without us really any detail of us being aware of it. We had no problem with him being on the show, but we had to agree a deal with them, subsequently. But we weren't trying to stop him from going on the show. We agreed terms with them verbally as to him going on there. We tried to do a contract, it didn't get done. And then, you know, the position on Saturday was just protecting our rights, outlining our position, as I'm sure you'd be aware, from a legal perspective, outlining our views and our position from a legal perspective. We had no intention of him not fighting, stopping him from fighting at all. That was never any intention. But as with all businesses, when you've got a contract, you have to outline your position.
But did you not drop a legal letter to Mick Francis?
He had a legal letter, yeah.
And Tasman? Hours before the fight?
Not hours before the fight. But look, they knew the situation. We had agreed a deal with them as to him going on the fight. We just had to outline our legal position. But there was never an intention of stopping him from fighting. That was not the truth.
So you're trying to wrestle Hooney?
Not wrestle Hooney.
Out of Tasman's hands?
No, not wrestle Hooney. We had a co-promotional deal with Tasman, with Gold Star Promotions, all of us. Like I said, we had no issue with him going on the show, but they'd done that. They'd agreed a deal, and we were just outlining our position. But there was no issue with him fighting on the show. No issue whatsoever.
But just going forward, with Zuffa and Dana White, Frank, I mean, how is the relationship now with Turki Al Sheikh?
Very good, very good. So,
because Frank and Eddie were so cosy with Turkey. He's gone from bringing you guys together to wanting to destroy you by the looks of it.
I don't know. We just renewed our Riyadh season agreement with them. We're operating the Egypt event for them in Giza in a few weeks. You know, we're doing a lot of business with them. We're doing the darts, snooker, have a very good relationship. Look, I think Turki Al Sheikh, he loves the sport and he loves also working with everyone. Look, the Dana White-Eddie relationship probably isn't great right now, although I would love to find someone to put up a few million to do that fight. You got anyone, Simon? Any investors?
Well, for those two to fight?
Yeah, for those two to fight. I think it would be brilliant, you know.
Wow.
Eddie, I think we could get Eddie on a cheaper deal than Dana for that one. I think he favours himself against him. But look, I think it's all good for the sport. It's all talking points. And I've always said about the Zuffa piece, if they're picking Matchroom to go at, you know, and talk about in the press, talk about in the media, Dana's going on about Eddie constantly when he's asked questions, it's great. And it's great. It just adds to the whole theatre of the sport of boxing that we know and love.
But are you not disappointed you lost Opataya to Zuffa?
I said before, I mean, I'm not going to be blasé in a sense of we don't care.
No, you do
He's
care.
A great fighter.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah.
You know, a fighter's going to leave this promoter, go to fighters will leave Zuffa in time. You know, just like fighters have left the UFC to go elsewhere. So it's going to happen over time.
Dalton Smith, just before you leave us, Frank, set to make his first world title defence in June. Light welterweight champion, of course, WBC light welterweight champion. How is he? How's he looking going forward? Because he's a boy I'd love to. He's been in the studio, has he not, Simon? He's quite understated.
Yeah. He's a brilliant character. Look, he's one of those who is always going to do his talking in the ring.
Yeah.
You know, he's always been about going in there and delivering performances. He went out to the Barclays Centre in January, and what a finish that night against the bogeyman of the division. People didn't want to fight. And he goes into a real test against Puello on June 6 in Sheffield. We've got a big undercard to be announced this week for that show as well. So things are good. He's in a great place, and there's big unification fights to be made at the end of the year for him as well.
Good. It's a sight I always thought I'd see. Frank Smith sitting side by side with Simon Jordan. Getting on.
It was never in doubt.
It was never in doubt. Frank, you took the words out of my mouth. Frank, thanks for stopping by. Matchroom's chief executive takes us to 12:30 this Tuesday lunchtime. Tottenham Hotspur, this mighty club with a phenomenal stadium, we all know that, of course, are looking at heading to Sheffield United, with all due respect, Birmingham, Swansea, Preston, Stoke next season. Is that what's going to happen? Graham's a big Tottenham fan and joins us live. Graham, good morning. Is that what's going to happen?
I'm sorry to say, I think at the minute, I think it has to be. We'd have to be completely blindsided, I feel, to think anything else. I said in amongst group chats with friends that in January, the moment we slip into that bottom three, I don't see us getting out of it. And I think it's got nothing to do, and this alludes to a point that Simon made, I feel, maybe 10 minutes ago, about not necessarily having that quality, because it's clear that the quality hasn't been there this season. It's about having the fight and the mentality to actually pull yourself together, earn the money that you're being paid, and get yourself out of this and restore some sort of reputation that this football club has got. Unfortunately, I feel for us at the minute, we have too many players that have completely checked out. When the going got tough in and around January, February time, when you actually sat there and thought, we're in a bit of bother here, agents started appearing. Suddenly we've got Van der Ven doing interviews with his dad, and straight away you look at that and go, they're angling for moves already. We've got Paulina, who's on loan, who I actually really like, and I feel he's probably the closest one we've got to someone that's willing to stand up and fight and knows what it takes to try and win games of football. But when you look at, we've put up with Mr. Tickle in goal for most of the season. He's come out and started flirting back with Italy again.
Michael Carrick's told talkSPORT, if that's a red card, game's gone.
It baffles me, it really does, because I don't know if that's the way we're going. And as soon as you touch the back of somebody, he didn't pull, it wasn't aggressive, he didn't jolt, it wasn't nothing like that. It was just to literally touch his hair.
Lisandro Martinez faces a 3-game ban for tugging on Dominic Calvert-Lewin's man bun. Leeds won at Old Trafford to move 6 points clear of trouble. Man United go to Chelsea in the Premier League, live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. Now, Jack Wilshere thinks Arsenal's 16-year-old Mac Dowman should go to the World Cup with England. He says if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Players should be picked for England when they're in form, when they're playing. So I think he has to play, but I do think he's good enough. You know, I said it before. I think if he's Spanish, Spain would take him to the World Cup. So why shouldn't we do it?
Now, how would you feel about no red cards, 25-minute halves and no small-town teams? Just a few ideas to stop football losing the next generation of fans from the Athletics interview with Napoli's owner Aurelio De Laurentiis. Meanwhile, Matt Le Tissier's told talkSPORT his own ideas. More shots from outside the box and don't sideline the Mavericks.
I feel like a lot of the time now the managers want to be the star of the show and the tactics and the formation want to be the star of the show and not the players.
You can watch Le Tissier's interview back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel.
Now it's competition time. It's a big one. We have 2 tickets for the Wimbledon Lawn Tennis Championships, Monday, July the 6th. You'll be watching the world's very best from official Wimbledon debenture seats on centre court. You'll also have exclusive debenture lounge access throughout the day. The perfect place to soak up the atmosphere between matches. How lovely. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. The number to call is 0343 418 7260. Lines closed Thursday at 4, and that's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. It's a network promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Thank you for that, and thank you for your attention. As a certain American president says at the end of every dubious tweet that he sends out. Simon, we move on. Interesting bit of
You
move.
didn't say that when you were down at the embassy getting your visa, did you?
I will be saying it loud and clear when I'm in the US of A. Interesting bit of business done over in the Bundesliga. Bundesliga club Union Berlin have appointed a female manager, Marie-Louise Etta. In she comes. The club's made history by appointing Marie-Louise as their head coach. She becomes the first female to manage a men's team in one of Europe's 5 biggest leagues. Before we get the view of top German journalist Konstantin Eckner, England's head coach Serena Wiegmann was all for it, of course.
It's great. She's a trailblazer, and I think this was a matter of time anyway. So, well, first of all, congratulations to her and Berlin. And it's exciting. It shows that, again, football is moving up. There's women in society everywhere, and the next step is that it's also in football, male and female.
So I mentioned him. Top German football journalist Konstantin Eckner joins us live. Konstantin, always good to speak to you. What's going on here? Is the Bundesliga paving a way for a bit of trailblazing here in the form of this lady, Marie-Louise Etta?
I think there are two perspectives to take, basically. First of all, it was a sporting decision. Union Berlin, they have only won 2 of their last 14 games, so they had to make a change, just a mid-season change. They are 11th, but not out of hot water in terms of relegation. So they wanted to make a change and let Steffen Baumgart go. I mean, managerial changes are just everyday business in football. I think Tottenham fans can relate to that, basically. But they decided to promote one of their youth coaches, and Marie-Louise Etta, who already served as an assistant 2 years ago, as an assistant to the first team manager. She was promoted as the interim coach, and she will coach the team at least until the end of the season. So it was a sporting decision. But on the other hand, of course, we have seen progress being made. I mean, the first coach to ever coach a professional men's team was Carolina Morage, Vita Bese, 3rd division Italy in 1999. So since then, of course, a lot of progress has been made. In Germany, there's also another female coach, Sabrina Wittmann, who's coaching a 3rd division team, Ingolstadt, has been doing so for a couple of years by now. And Union Berlin just chose the best candidate available, and that's Marie-Louise Etta. So it's really a decision on sporting merits.
Okay, it's a sporting decision, Simon. In the passing, Konstantin, how's it gone down with Union Berlin fans? What are they saying about it?
They are all for it. She has done good work with the under-19s team. She was has been the first or the head coach of the under-19s team. And the plan was for her to move over to Union Berlin's women's team at the end of the season and coach that team, which is also playing in the Bundesliga, in the female Bundesliga. Or the women's Bundesliga, I should say. So she has been held in high regards by Union Berlin fans, and they think it's the right decision to make a change and also to promote her and give her the chance to coach the team at least for the remaining 5 match days.
It is a bit of trailblazing, Simon, isn't it, on Union Berlin's part?
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to see what decision they would have made about a managerial appointment if they were sitting in the bottom 3. I mean, I know that it's not done, but they're 7 points clear of the bottom 3, so it's unlikely they're going to be in any jeopardy. And if she's good enough, listen, this idea about who should be getting jobs, if you're good enough to be in a position, then it shouldn't really matter. I understand there's a glass ceiling to be broken, and whether this is in perpetuity, it'd be fascinating to see what they do with her. If she goes and wins all the games that finish the season, and then we look beyond, because I think she was earmarked for another job inside the organisation. They fired their coach, they parachuted her in rather than someone else that might have been in a different part of the organisation. If she does really well, are they suggesting, Konstantin, that this is a managerial appointment that could be in perpetuity?
It could be. I mean, right now the plan is for her to then move over to the women's team of Union Berlin and coach that. But of course, if she wins the remaining 5 games, let's just say, because Union Berlin, they have been in a little bit of a slump, then things might change. Union sporting director Horst Held initially he said the plan is for her to then coach the women's team starting with the season 2026-27. But now, recently, yesterday, he changed a little bit his statement and said, we will see what happens. They are in talks with Christian Eichner, second division coach from Karlsruhe, so he might take over. But if she does well, why not? As I mentioned...
What do you think? What does your nose tell you? If they do reasonably well, if they win 2 or 3 of the last 5 games and she puts up a credible performance of getting 10 points out of 5 games or 9 points, do you think that they're likely to go that direction?
I think so. I think they will stick to her. I think she will get the chance to then coach the team moving forward, because Christian Eichner, who would be the alternative, not someone who has really set the fields on fire in recent years. So he would be like a typical everyday appointment. But why not go with her? She has been working for the club since 2023. It would be a landmark appointment, of course. And I think also in general, these days in football, it's not quite like in the 70s or 80s where professional footballers are in constant fear of their manager and they are afraid of them even in a physical way. I think things have changed so that coaches are much more credited on how they do tactically, how they speak to a team, how they manage all the different personalities. And I think she does well. She has done well with the under-19s team. Why not do the same with the senior team?
You'll be well aware, Constantine, Liverpool have a big one tonight against PSG. Tomorrow night, Champions League quarter-final second leg, Bayern Munich take a 2-1 lead in against Real Madrid. What is the thought? What is the mood in Munich and elsewhere in Germany? Is it thought that Bayern will carry the job out? They'll go through?
There's one word, finally, is what Bayern fans are saying, because Bayern Munich have been defeated by Real Madrid on multiple occasions in the past decade or so. The last time they actually beat Real Madrid in a knockout tie was in 2012. After that, they lost 2014, 2017, and so on. So finally, they are able to beat Real Madrid. That's kind of the connotation on the ground, basically. And of course, if Bayern Munich beat Real Madrid, not the players maybe, but the fans see their team as the favorites, odds-on favorites to actually win the entire thing.
I was going to ask you, Constantine, what's the feeling like in Germany towards the World Cup that's coming up? Not the landscape of what's happening with Trump, but the team's chances in going to America and doing something. We've seen the German side that's been up and down a little bit over the last 2 or 3 tournaments. What is the anticipation from the German public and the German press about what the German national side are going to do?
Pretty mixed, actually. I mean, you see, of course, all the talent they have. Florian Wirtz, who just during the international break did tremendously well, played much better than sometimes for Liverpool this season. So he's, of course, a difference maker. Jalmo Musiala, a couple of other difference makers they have, especially in attack. But the team's performance has been up and down, as you said. It's not really convincing how they did. They didn't beat anyone decisively recently. And also Julian Nagelsmann, when he took over, he actually kind of won the hearts of many fans, because he did it a little bit differently than Jogi Löw, especially beforehand. But recently, he has got into infights with players like Dennis Undav and others, and he speaks well about some players and doesn't speak well about others. So he's not really a favorite. And I think a lot of football fans, a lot of German football fans actually wish that after the World Cup, Jürgen Klopp takes over.
Wow. Okay. Constantine, we can't have you on without a mention of Harry Kane. His club, Bayern Munich, running away with the Bundesliga at the moment. They've only lost 1 in 29. They've got a 12-point lead over Borussia Dortmund. I think his current deal at Bayern Munich runs out at the end of next season. What is the talk? Because I think he's exceeded all expectation, hasn't he?
Absolutely. And if I would vote right now, today, he should win Ballon d'Or this year. I mean, of course, there's a lot of football to be played this year, but right now he would be my favorite to actually win the Ballon d'Or 2026. Apart from that, Bayern Munich are very optimistic that they can actually extend his contract and keep him for another couple of years, because he might be a bit of an older striker, but just watch him. I mean, age is just a number when it comes to Harry Kane.
Wow. Terrific. Constantine, good to speak to you. Good to hear from you again. Constantine Eckner with us live this lunchtime. Harry Kane and Bayern Munich go in tomorrow night against Real Madrid. 2-1 up from the first leg, of course. And we're with you with Selcoats, where the trade goes. It's going to be some summer of change, isn't it, for Liverpool?
Again, yeah, massive. It's.
Do you think Slot might be part of that summer of change?
No chance. Honestly, I don't say that lightly, but the amount of Liverpool supporters I know are on the same page. The hierarchy aren't daft. They're not stupid. Finishing 5th for Liverpool, I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. Irrelevant of the mitigating circumstances.
It might get you Champions League.
Well, it will, and financially that's good, but where they're at is nowhere near. They're nowhere near it. They're only going to probably only get 5th because of other teams failing below them.
How many times did you play for Liverpool? You got a rough ballpark figure?
240, 250.
240, 250. So you must have the absolute utmost admiration for Andy. 373 appearances for the club. He came for 8 million from Hull.
Yeah, but the respect comes from not only his longevity, it's the level of his performance during that period. His numbers are phenomenal, and he's been. I think he's been underrated. I don't think he's ever, in all the success Liverpool have had. Yes, there's times where he's had some plaudits, but it's more been Trent.
Yeah,
you know, the front three on the Klopp, all that's the Henderson, the captain, fantastic. Robbo's gone under, and there's the other thing as well. Last thing on him. It's no coincidence Virgil hasn't been himself because he hasn't had Robbo next to him. That's definitely a factor.
So, heart says Liverpool, PSG.
No, my heart doesn't even. They're not. PSG are here.
You've given up on them because PSG are PSG.
I'd be amazed.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
You know, we don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
The Real Deal. So we thought, who could be the real deal on this particular occasion? Of course, in conjunction with Selco Builders Warehouse. Are Liverpool about to deliver tonight at Anfield against Paris Saint-Germain? And if they do, and if they progress in the Champions League, by God, they would constitute tonight that they are indeed the real deal. 2-0 down from the first leg. So it's there for them. It's there, or is it? Yesterday I was somewhat surprised when Danny Murphy was with Simon and myself, and I said, what about it? Real deal, Liverpool going through? What do you think, Danny?
Well, there's no confidence at all after that first game. They got absolutely battered. No
confidence at all?
Well, I mean, if you go off history, you always believe that Anfield can create this atmosphere that elevates players' performances. We've seen it time and time again. I've been involved in them. The reality is that at the moment, this team looks short on confidence, on energy. And if you go after PSG really hard, which they're going to have to do, they tear you apart. They've got some wonderful players.
Well, Danny played the game at the highest level, so he should know. Simon, despite many, and Danny is one, insisting that the die has been cast, does tonight have the power to reignite the Arne Slot tenure?
Yeah, of course, because if they were to win a Champions League as a result of knocking PSG out and going on and beating other teams in the tournament, then it would be very difficult to argue against the fact that Slot's taken himself out of the firing line, literally, by achieving something equally as memorable as winning a Premier League, which is winning the Champions League in lots of people's minds. I mean, there will be a belief in Liverpool's side, but it'll be veneer deep. It'll be adversity deep. And by that I mean that the moment adversity comes knocking, they will fall away. So they'll go into the game. I mean, it's strange he talked about the history of this club. It's irrelevant. It's the team. The history of this club will not carry Liverpool past PSG. What they did when David Fairclough was super sub, or what they did in the 80s, or what they did against Milan in 2006, and what they've done over the history of Liverpool being a fabulous football club, predominantly in the 70s, 80s and 90s, and subsequently as a result of Jurgen Klopp's reinfusion of the momentum for Liverpool, has got bugger all to do with this team.
But does it, Sam, if fans and players buy into that?
Yeah, but that's something to buy into. This Liverpool side is creating ambivalence in their supporters. It's creating
in the Champions League?
Well, it's creating an ambivalence in their manager. Sorry, the ambivalence towards their team and their managers, because the expectation is not high. Their demands of a Liverpool supporter is they expect their team, albeit they seem to tolerate not winning a Premier League for 30 years and got on with that. But now that tolerance is gone, because now they're back in the big leagues of successes, and rather than winning cups here and there, they're back to be one of the biggest teams in Europe again, irrespective of, when they won the Champions League in 2006, whatever else they did. Winning the Premier League is a big thing. It's the bread and butter, what makes a team great.
Yeah.
So their tolerance seems to be much less than it was for 30 years. But here we are now with them going against PSG, and they're a shadow of themselves. So you're going to need to see a 60% increase on their performances recently and a 20% decrease in PSG. And even then, you might struggle to see an outcome. What I'd like to do is I'd like to see Liverpool get them at it. Because we're all this waxing lyrical about how good PSG and whatever else. Let their own supporters tell us how good they are. All right. I would like to see Slot, not doing his tribute acts after the game about how wonderful PSG are, and get at them and see if we can get them going.
Let's see what happens if Liverpool score first and score early.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for, because it becomes a game. If for the Liverpool fans, if the PSG score early in the game, I mean, you got to endure another 80 minutes of what.
Yeah,
stumbling and
this is the thing,
lurching towards a disappointing outcome.
And you mentioned Arne Slot. He's been talking about the tie and how they might or might not approach it. Anyway, this is his view of it.
The only way to score is if you have the ball. And the thing is that tomorrow two teams are facing each other. Both would like to have the ball a lot. And the last time we faced each other, they had the ball for 76% of the time. So that's the first thing we have to change tomorrow, to have the ball more. We have to be much, 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 much better than we were last week. And their players are experienced players, have experienced Anfield a year ago. So they think that they know what's coming up. So I can only hope that our fans can find an extra gear compared to last season, which I argue if it's possible, because the atmosphere last season was unbelievable.
Desperate times. Quite desperate.
Well, is it desperate? I quite like the way he's done that. Like Liverpool fans everywhere, we know what you can bring us. I'm asking you to do one thing. Go to an even higher level for us tonight.
Fantastic. But it's not about them going to a high level. It's about players going to a high level. I mean, look, the reasons why they had 76% possession is because Liverpool set up their way to allow them to have it. Now you're going to do something different. You're going to have to do something different. You set up the team to contain PSG. And you couldn't contain them then, even when you set up that way. So what chance you got containing them when you haven't set up that way? And to suggest that the fans are going to be... This is not Bodo Glimt that aren't used to playing in big stadiums, right? That eventually come undone, right?
Yeah.
This is a big-time set of players.
Yeah, but we've seen certain teams in the past freeze at Anfield.
But you've seen a team that... We saw the Barcelona equivalent. Yeah, and we heard the analysis of that game when we got into the weeds of it. This was a Liverpool team that got 97 points, that were firing at that particular time, that were full of beans. Does this resemble that team? Does that resemble the same scenario where there's a potential overturn? No, because they're not in good nick. So with that in mind, it's difficult to see past it. But I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Nasser and his little mob get booted out on their backsides, and Liverpool progress on, and another English team stay in the Champions League. But it's difficult to see, based upon the evidence in front of us, that's going to be the case.
An early goal
if they can get an early goal, and get, because we know you can get PSG at it, we know you can get their backside squeaking if you get into amongst them, because they ain't that good.
Yeah,
everyone's good when they're on the front foot. It's more difficult when you actually put people in a situation where they've got to think, they're under pressure, and the only way you create pressure is by scoring goals.
Do you think PSG have found themselves a bit of a Real Madrid-like aura in Europe nowadays?
No,
not
really. I mean, they can't have, because the legacy of Real Madrid goes back decades. This is a situation that everyone's not running around the world to join PSG. most football players will say on their bucket list of things to do, all the elite ones, is I want to play for Real Madrid. They don't say they want to play for PSG. And the legacy that Real Madrid have going back to Puskas and Di Stefano and whoever else has played for them all the way through the 80s, 90s, and when the domination of the European Cup really kicked in, they've got a history which dominates this competition. So all of that goes hand in hand. And then we've got the media idea of what Madrid is and the Galacticos and all that goes with it, their massive turnovers, their legacy place within inside European football. The PSG are newcomers. They're not at the royal table in terms of people's acceptance of them as a big football club. They're there because NASA's money and direction of travel over 15 years has eventually put them there. They've turned from a Fabergé egg that bought players trying to replicate what Madrid did into a team that's actually ripped up this playbook, now done it properly, bought an elite Spanish coaching, and they're doing well at this moment in time. And this team will break up, and it'll be interesting to see if they can continue to play the way that they're playing ad infinitum over a significant period of time.
Not after tonight. Come on, Liverpool, put them out, he said in a completely impartial way. That was the real deal. Are Liverpool going to be the real deal tonight? We hope so with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's real deals in branch of view online at selcobw.com. Simon, remember yesterday when I told you over the weekend I bought myself a lovely new top? This is it. What do you think? You having it? It's 1 o'clock.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.